All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this afternoon's live commentary coverage of NASCAR Cup Series racing from Watkins Glen International in the second road course race of the 2026 NASCAR Cup Series season. And of course, the final race for Fox Sports 1 and their televised coverage of the NASCAR season, at least for the Cup Series side. Of course, they're covering every truck race, but prime video coming up for the next points race in Charlotte in 2 weeks. Fox still does have the All-Star race next weekend as the exhibition race at Dover will take place Sunday afternoon, 1 week from today. With the All-Star race weekend coming up next week, we are set to see how some of these drivers are going to finish out before another kind of off week, if you will, when it comes to the point standing side of things. Just getting the command to fire engines, it looks like, down at the racetrack right now. So we are going to be about 5 to 10 minutes from the drop of the green flag for today's race. Sorry for the slight postponement. I know we usually do some pre-races when we have the live commentary coverage for the Cup Series races every Sunday, but I was on the road coming back from home, so things just. Long story short, I'm late and we are live anyway right now, and we are still here before the start of the race. So obviously, I wanted to go on with the stream still, but no traditional pre-race. So this is kind of similar to how we do things for the Truck and O'Reilly Series races. And we will pull up the starting lineup on screen and go through that real quickly while they're just rolling off of pit road. Shane Van Gisbergen on the pole, going to try to go for his first win of the season. Still, remember, he ended up winning 5 of the 6 road course races last year. He's 0 for 1 this year, but he did finish second at COTA. This is his first career pole at Watkins Glen, so that's a first start. He has never won a cup race here before, but he up until last season, and he did finish runner-up the year before that, so he should be a strong competitor for the race win today. And in fact, he is my pick for the race win. If you don't have him in your fantasy league, be sure to do so, as I don't know if the lineup's locked in already. I really hope they didn't, because I didn't get a chance to do that today. 310 they lock. Okay, so let me get my fantasy lineups in before I go through the starting lineup. Just kind of rolling through this here quickly. Going to take Michael McDowell, Shane Van Gisbergen. Austin Cindric was fastest in practice. He's a good pick. Connor Zilch, I'm not really going to use at all the rest of the season, more than likely. Ryan Blaney's a guy who goes for stage points a lot with these road courses, so he may do that again. Ty Gibbs is pretty good on the road courses. I think I'll throw Blaney in the garage to start things off here today. Chase Briscoe's another good one. I'll throw Blaney in the garage just for the start. I might not end up using him. Larson versus Elliott. I am going to take Chase Elliott. That's a toss-up. SVG for the win, so I'm taking him over Byron. I like how they paired with Kyle Busch and John Hunter Nemechek at that. What was NASCAR.com thinking when they paired those two head-to-head after last week's race? Kyle Busch was really fast in practice, actually, yesterday, so I'll go Kyle Busch. Ty Gibbs, Michael McDowell is going to be really close. I'm going to take McDowell just because he does have that front row starting position. All right, so now that that's said and done, for the KRC NASCAR Fantasy League, and I got my lineup in last second. Now let's go through the starting lineup. So again, Shane Van Gisbergen, my race win pick, he is on the pole by about 0.2 of a second. He was able to qualify the pole versus second place Michael McDowell was really beating him in the bus stop. Every driver through the field more there than anywhere else. He's got the cojones to carry in faster on entry and still get back to the gas as soon as he does on exit. So not only he's getting in there deeper than everybody else, but he's also winning the race back to the throttle. And it's really 1/10 of a second plus on both sides of the bus stop where he has been the guy to beat. So far this weekend, that is what it's looking like for SVG. Michael McDowell in the front row starts at second, his first career front row start at Watkins Glen. In row number 2 will be Austin Cindric, still searching for his first road course win in the Cup Series, and Ross Chastain, a one-time road course race winner at COTA in 2022. Row 3 will be the rookie Connor Zilch, looking to show out here today, still in search for his first top 10 of the season, and Joey Logano, a former Watkins Glen winner of 2015. Ryan Blaney still searching for his first road course top 5 finish in the next gen car, and Christopher Bell will be looking for his second win in the next gen car on a road course. Third win, actually. He's got a win at COTA and the Charlotte Roval. In row 5 will be the JGR Toyotas of Chase Briscoe and Ty Gibbs, both runner-ups on road courses but never race winners in the Cup Series level. Carson Hocevar will be lined up with A.J. Allmendinger, the 2014 Watkins Glen winner. William Byron, the 2023 winner, and the 2024 winner, Chris Buescher, will be in row number 7. Row 8 will be Tyler Reddick, who won the first road course race this season at COTA, trying to go 2 for 2, starting 15th alongside Daniel Suarez, who comes into the day still top 16 in the chase points. Jonathan Nemechek and Bubba Wallace will be in row number 9, and rounding out the top half of the field in row 10, Cole Custer, and another former Watkins Glen winner, Denny Hamlin. Two-time Watkins Glen winner Kyle Busch alongside Todd Gilliland will be in row number 11. Row 12 for Kyle Larson, who won here a few years ago, back-to-back, in fact, in 2021 and 2022. He's on the inside of row 12 alongside Eric Jones. Row 13, Austin Dillon and Brad Keselowski. Row 14, Chase Elliott, another two-time Watkins Glen winner, and his teammate Alex Bowman, who has finished third place in the last 2 races in the last 2 weeks. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Ryan Preece in row 15. Point penalty for Ryan Preece last week at Texas after intentionally crashing Ty Gibbs in turns 3 and 4. That 25-point deduction has dropped him to 14th in points, very tightly above the cut line. Ty Dillon and Riley Herbst in row 16, row 17 for Zane Smith, Josh Berry. Noah Gragson, Cody Ware, row 18, and rounding out the field in row 19 will be Josh Bilicki and Catherine Legg, the only 2 open entries for this weekend. 38-car field, 100 laps are scheduled distance. This race is 10 laps longer than usual, but still should be one of the quickest, if not the quickest races of the season. We've seen this race end in under 2 hours before. Yesterday's O'Reilly race, which was 82 laps, which is only 8 laps shorter than the traditional Cup Series race length, ended at about 2 hours and 5 minutes, and they had quite a few cautions in that race too. So looking for another quick one here today. And new track layout, another kind of new news, I guess, if you will, when it comes to Watkins Glen and the Cup Series this weekend, and really all throughout each series, is track limits. Track limits have been added to turns 1 and turn 5, not by way of penalty. The penalty you're going to pay is hitting tire packs on the outside of the racing line. When you go all 4 tires above the curbing on the outside of both of those corners, there will be tire packs / tire walls there to try to keep cars on track. We've seen a couple of instances in the truck race already this weekend where crashes have taken place in that area on restarts. It's very tight. Drivers still trying to get acclimated with it. And as a result of which, the lap times have slowed down a little bit as well, about 1.5 seconds a lap slower, just because you got to be more patient getting back to the throttle instead of standing on it middle of the corner off. Just that extra second or two in both of those corners, just having to roll out of the gas. Patience is a virtue. And we'll see who's going to have the most patience today. A lot of tire fall off in practice as well. We saw that in last year's race, which aided for Shane Van Gisbergen, who has been great on road courses where there has been high tire wear. Of the 5 road course races out of the 6 he won last season, most of those races there was a lot of tire fall off. He's just able to manage his equipment better, the way he's able to use the clutch versus nobody else really using the clutch, because you don't have to with these next-gen cars. But he is able to save his equipment a little bit more, save his brakes a little more, save his tires a little more. And as a result, as the race goes on, he gets better and better because of that. Last year, for instance, he didn't start on the pole. He was running second or third for the first 2 stages. And by the final stage, he was the guy to beat. He just had better stuff late and obviously was the class driver at the end of the day. So we'll see if he can do that here. The fact that he starts on the pole this time versus last year, he didn't. And he still was able to get the race win. That is very scary for the field today. So we'll see if Shane Van Gisbergen can get his first Watkins Glen Cup Series win. And we'll see if he can get, I believe, his 7th NASCAR Cup Series win all time already, which is just insane because he was a rookie last year. If he can get to 7 wins. Only 4 road course races this season. All of them are in the regular season. It's going to be a little bit before we get out to Sonoma. And then, of course, the street race coming up just a couple weeks after the Sonoma summer race. And that street race this year being in San Diego. Seven former Watkins Glen winners in the field today. And if my notes are correct, I believe only 2 of those drivers have won here multiple times, which are Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott, each with 2 wins apiece. Of today's drivers in the field that have won at Watkins Glen. For some pre-race updates, we'll listen into the booth. Mike Joy, Kevin Harvick, and Clint Boyer, of course, on the call.
Watkins Glen victory. Toe-to-toe, heel and toe, it all works on the road course, right? Let's join our crew chief, Larry McReynolds, to talk about shifting.
Yeah, Mike, this is year 5 that we've raced this Gen 7 race car and the second of 4 road course races in 2026. Drivers shift at a lot of different tracks, but shifting at a road course like Watkins Glen is critical, and it can vary on how a driver goes through the gearbox. Let's go to our Toyota Camry cutaway car and see how the sequential shifter actually works. Now, like it's been for years, the shift lever is on the floorboard to the driver's right. This is a 5-speed gearbox. Now, to downshift, he just keeps pushing the shift lever forward. To upshift, he just keeps pulling the shifter back. Now, let's take a look at a section of this Watkins Glen track, what gear the driver will actually be in. This is off turn 5, off the carousel, on the straightaway 4th gear. Into turn 6, a left-hander, downshift the 3rd gear. He stays in 3rd through the short chute into the final turn, turn 7, a right-hander, all the way down to 2nd gear. Now this long front straightaway, 2nd gear, 3rd gear, 4th gear, right about the start-finish line. Guys, these drivers will be shifted roughly a dozen times per lap, and without using the clutch, unless you're Shane Van Gisbergen.
That's exactly right, and that's the point that I want to make, Larry. All right, road course racing, yes, you're busy using that lever a lot, but it's the downshifts that are so important when you're utilizing the downshift to help slow that race car down. Nobody does that better than SVG.
And
Big difference.
the other thing that you have to remember here, a lot of right-hand turns. And when you have those right-hand turns, the drivers aren't used to it. We saw Tyler Reddick actually getting some work done on his back on pit road yesterday. A lot of strain in the opposite direction, so a full day's work.
All right, the cars exit pit road after checking their pit road speed on this pace lap. And Busch Light is giving you the chance to take home $1,000 today. Follow @BuschBeer on social and enter using hashtag Busch All for One, hashtag sweepstakes during every lap that ends in a 1 for a chance to win. Yes, it's mud season in upstate New York. Yes, it rained most of the week, but everything is drying out. Look at all that blue sky. Temperatures in the 60s today and mostly sunny.
Kevin, one thing I want to point out to Mike right now is when that cloud cover came in, the difference it made between sun standing out there in that pre-race and then that cloud cover, huge difference.
Yeah, it definitely made a huge
I noticed that
difference
even
right
in
there.
the summer race I went to back in 2019 also.
Tire wear.
So the 10 laps that have been added to the length of this race this year were all added in stage 2. Stage 1 is still 20 laps. Stage 2 is now 30. And the final stage is 50 laps, 40 miles an hour down pit road. And you can run the first 2 stages without refueling before the stage breaks, if you wish. And this place, there have been challenges on pit road because it's the only place we go where the right side of the car is against the wall.
And it's very easy to overshoot your pit because you're just not used to looking out the right side of the window. You get yourself too close to the wall. Get on the end down here. Well, of course, you can wheel which too. But you get down towards the end of the pit road, and it's all downhill.
All downhill. When this track was built, I mean, they started racing on the streets of Watkins Glen in 1948. They moved up here because of safety, get the race off city streets. They built this track. And the front straightaway was between what is now turns 1 and 2, and that's where the pits were. The track was reconfigured some years ago to what we know now, and it's played host to Formula One, to Can-Am, to Trans Am, to a lot of IMSA races here. And here we go with the Toyota.
Pretty wild to hear Mike Joy on the call for a Watkins Glen Cup race because this race always takes place in the summer. Fox usually doesn't have it on the schedule for the television broadcasting. We've seen races on Fox since 2001, all the way through 2026 now in the NASCAR Cup Series ranks, most of which, again, the first half of the season. See a couple of summer Daytona races there in the early to mid-2000s, but for the most part, it was all right on this network for the first half of the year. Well, now they get a Watkins Glen date, so it'll be cool to kind of listen to some new stories along the way. Green flag is in the air. We're underway. Shane Van Gisbergen, great launch from the inside of road number 1, and we are charging downhill towards a hard 90-degree right-hand turn number 1. Mostly single file in the front 5, rest of the top 10 double wide, and a couple of 3-wide rows outside the top 10 as well. Still side-by-side into the S's, the most dangerous area of the racetrack to be running door-to-door right now. Ryan Blaney doing so with Christopher Bell in a battle for 7th and a few other battles going on through that set of corners also. Land rush for the bus stop, and Shane Van Gisbergen, who had dominated in this area of the racetrack yesterday in on-track activity, practice and qualifying compared to any other driver, is trying to pace the field early as he's got nobody to pass off the start. Ty Gibbs really loose in the outside lane, getting through the carousel in turn number 5. Had a car underneath of him challenging for position right now. That battle is currently for 10th place. Carson Hocevar in the 77, the guy giving him fits. Very easy. We can see a guy who has not won a race so far this season in the NASCAR Cup Series win today. The top 5, actually top 6 in the qualifying order did not win a race so far this season. We've only seen 2 drivers win more than 1 race, one of which Chase Elliott won his second race of the season last week at Texas. Also had his first win at Martinsville about a month prior, and then Tyler Reddick with the 5 wins through the first 11 races. And as we're into race number 12, we're going to be halfway through the regular season when we get to Charlotte in 2 weeks, which will be the next scheduled points race, all-star race at Dover. Next weekend exhibition, winner takes $1 million, but no points on the line for that one. Another side-by-side battle in tight. A.J. Allmendinger to the inside of Chase Briscoe as they battle for 10th place after Ty Gibbs was able to get by Briscoe the last lap after he was hassled by Carson Hocevar. Hocevar has since lost a couple positions. So SVG pretty handedly will lead the first 2 laps of the race. He's got a couple of really good road course racers behind him. Michael McDowell has 1 career cup win on a road course. It was in the Next Gen car at the Indianapolis road course back in 2022, but he has had consistent finishes inside the top 5, inside the top 10. We know how well of a road course racer he is. And them starting 1-2 in this one kind of reminds me of the Chicago street race last year where they were 1-2 for a lot of the first 2 stages. And McDowell was not letting SVG pull away. He was nose to tail with him every step of the way, would challenge him in certain corners for the lead side by side, couldn't quite get around him, but he was there. He was in contention. Unfortunately, they ended up having a DNF because of a mechanical issue that dropped them out of the race. If that Spire 71 car does not have mechanical issues today and they stay on top of strategy, Michael McDowell will be all over Shane Van Gisbergen for the rest of the afternoon. Mark my words. Ross Chastain, who has won on a road course already in the Next Gen era, kind of consistent with top 5s and top 10s. Austin Cindric, he's won numerous races in the O'Reilly Auto Parts series on road courses, but he has not won one at the Cup level. Best qualifying effort to start 3rd here today. We'll see what he can do. And Connor Zilic, the rookie, who's up to 4th place, of course, winning 10 O'Reilly races last season. He has not scored a top 10 yet this year, but in the first road course race at COTA, he was in the top 5 before getting spun on that final restart at the end of the race by, I believe, Ross Chastain, if I'm not mistaken. In that final, that turn 1 on that final restart, he ended up at the tail end of the lead lap as a result of which, but he was in the top 5 and he had come from the back multiple times in that race. So he's had the raw natural speed there and showing it early this weekend with qualifying 5th. He moved up a spot on Cindric on the start and now he's riding right in line behind Ross Chastain and not that far behind him. 2-car breakaway at the front of the field for right now though, as they are over 2.5 seconds ahead of 3rd place in that 1 car. McDowell still within a half a second of SVG. And one thing with Michael McDowell, too, with how good of a road course racer he is, starting behind Shane Van Gisbergen, he's going to be able to see how fast SVG is through the bus stop and try to challenge himself lap over lap to be able to do the same things that SVG is doing in front of him. Might have to make some adjustments to try to help with it along the way. Obviously, this is the very start of the race, but just seeing him having that eye test, I think he's going to have a really good opportunity to make some adjustments. And again, if they stay on top of strategy, they should be able to keep up with him this afternoon, at least within a couple positions worth. I think Michael McDowell, a great pick for the fantasy team, but I think he is definitely a race win contender. It's going to be tough to beat Shane Van Gisbergen today. I think he is the favorite pretty easily for this race. I had no questions in picking him for the race win on the fantasy team today, but I do think that Michael McDowell is going to be one of his biggest threats. Qualifying matters a lot at Watkins Glen as well. In 15 of the last 18 NASCAR Cup Series races at Watkins Glen, a race winner has come from the front 3 rows as far as starting position. So those drivers in the front 3 rows at the start of the race today, Shane Van Gisbergen, Michael McDowell, Ross Chastain, Connor Zilic, Joey Logano, and Austin Cindric. And we have only seen front row winners in all but one of the next gen races. Chris Buescher in 2024 is the only next gen race we didn't see anybody win from the front row. And in that race, because it was a chase race that season, or a playoff race at the time, all the playoff drivers were going for stage points. Chris Buescher did not qualify for the playoffs that year. Shane Van Gisbergen didn't either. They stayed out at the end of, they pitted before the end of every stage because they didn't need points. They weren't competing for a championship anymore at that juncture of the season. This year, with it being a regular season race, I think you're going to see a lot more drivers maybe try the race win strategy if they are up in the top 5 and try to keep up with the 97 and 71 for as much as they possibly can. But because of that, I don't think the drivers that qualify up at the front are necessarily going to be going for stage points. There will be some, but not a lot. It's going to depend on what kind of situation they're in, like points-wise and whatnot. Maybe there's a chance SVG, because he's on the bubble in points, that he stays out to get these stage points today. He did it at COTA, I will say. He finished first and second in the stages at COTA and still finished second in the race. It's going to depend on how cautions are going to lay out throughout the course of the afternoon, of course, and what kind of pit strategy we're going to see altogether. That second stage being an extra 10 laps is going to be interesting. They can make it on fuel in the second stage, but it might add an extra pit stop. What is usually a 2 to 3 stop race is pretty easily going to be a 3-stop race now because of the extra 10 laps. It might not seem like a lot because it's only 10 laps, but remember, this is a 2.45 mile road course, so that's an extra few gallons of gas. Top 10 in the running order at the end of lap 6. Host with Shane Van Gisbergen in the lead. Michael McDowell second. Ross Chastain in third. Fourth place is Connor Zilic. Joey Logano in fifth. Austin Cindric sixth. Christopher Bell seventh. Ryan Blaney eighth. Ty Gibbs ninth. And Chase Briscoe rounding out the top 10. Appreciate those of you that are tuned in for today's live commentary stream. Our coverage continues, obviously, here on the channel. And shout outs to those of you watching the stream right now. I haven't been able to give any shout outs yet. We got Regine Huddleston, Ethan Chua in the chat, Dean Tate. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Wade, Irina Sayre, Bam Hall, Connor Burke, Frank Powers, Terry Lewis, Steve J, Alpine Fan, Joe Rochester, Patrick Shadley, Beth Hagerstad, and Marcus Villarreal. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Already 7 laps in out of 100 here today at Watkins Glen. SVG, again, still out in front. No surprise there. He has about a 1.1 second advantage over McDowell. Connor Zilic just made a pass for third on Ross Chastain. He is about 4.5 seconds out of the lead. 5.3 seconds to Chastain in fourth and 5.7 seconds to Joey Logano in fifth. Cindric, who started in third place, has already fallen back to sixth. He's kind of the biggest loser, if you will, of those that started up inside the top 10. But all the drivers who had qualified inside the top 10 are actually still running there right now. Some changes in position between them, but they are still in the top 10 at least. Which, again, stage points are awarded to the top 10. And because of how short the race is, these first 2 stages are going to fly by today. Again, they do not have to pit in this first stage, which is only 20 laps. Which also puts an emphasis on qualifying well. Because if you're starting at the back, you're likely not going to get any stage points. There are a lot of heavy hitters by way of the season championship who did not qualify well, like Denny Hamlin starting outside the top 20, Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott. Those 3 guys are each in the top 6, top 7 in points. They all started outside the top 20 today. So they're going to be at a huge deficit. It's going to be hard for them to get even stage points, even if a lot of cars in front of them pit. Going to be an interesting follow to see what kind of track position they're able to gain via pit strategy and just overall speed. 4 to 5 seconds of fall off in practice yesterday over the course of a 15 to 20 lap run. They did have a full practice session this weekend of 45 minutes. That is obviously more than usual, 25 at most tracks, but because of the new track configuration by way of the track limits in turn 1 and turn 5 being condensed, NASCAR gave these teams an extra set of tires, an extra 20 minutes for practice this week so they can try to gauge everything they need when it comes to being able to get themselves set up for race day today. The longer the run goes, the better and better Shane Van Gisbergen gets. He's up over 2 seconds ahead of Michael McDowell in just less than 10 laps as he is already blitzing the field. And making life difficult for everybody but himself. Halfway through stage one at the start-finish line this time by. We'll just go through the full field running order then for the first time as of these first few laps. We got Shane Van Gisbergen in the lead, Michael McDowell second, Connor Zilic in third, Ross Chastain fourth, Joey Logano fifth, Austin Cindric in sixth, seventh is Christopher Bell, Ryan Blaney 8, Ty Gibbs 9, Chase Briscoe rounds out the top 10. 11th is AJ Allmendinger with Carson Hocevar in 12th, Chris Buescher 13th, William Byron 14th, 15th is Daniel Suarez, Tyler Reddick in 16th, Bubba Wallace 17th, 18th is John Hunter Nemechek, Kyle Busch 19th, and Cole Custer 20th. 21st, Todd Gillen, Denny Hamlin 22nd, Brad Keselowski 23rd, Eric Jones 24th, Kyle Larson 25th. 26th is Alex Bowman, Austin Dillon 27th, Ryan Preece 28th, Ty Dillon 29th, and Chase Elliott back in 30th. 31st for Zane Smith, Riley Herbst 32nd, Josh Berry 33rd, Noah Gragson 34th, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in 35th. 36 is Cody Ware, Josh Bilicki 37th, and Catherine Legg rounds out the 38 car field. Fastest lap of the race for Shane Van Gisbergen was actually on lap 5 when he put down a lap time of a 73.178. Last lap, he just ran a 74.0, about 9/10 of a second slower than his fastest lap. And that was about 5 laps after his quickest.
Deeper when he wants to, as we practiced or qualifying yesterday, but it's really that he doesn't go in as deep and uses less brake pressure. It gets that roll speed up in the car, rolls further around the corner with more of that mid-corner speed into the throttle later. So he's shocking the tire less.
Well, let me ask the two of you, how did it ever work out for you when you tried somebody else's setup or tried to adopt somebody else's driving style?
If I had somebody that was a teammate, and I did, at times, and he came to me at times, especially, the years for RCR and Stuart Haas Racing, but I was open-minded. I wanted to, put that weight on my shoulders, make sure that the car's the same, and I'm comparing apples to apples, but if I am and that setup's better and he proved to me, throw that baby in.
Yeah.
Connor Zilic running in third, 6.6 seconds back of the leader. We were privileged to be able to sit in on his team meeting this morning.
Got a big day today. Great opportunities for us. Got to execute all day long. Strategy will be a little bit varying today. It's probably at least a 3-stop strategy. I don't see the 2-stop stuff being a play with the length of the race now, with it being longer and how the tires were wearing yesterday. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Let's go have a great day.
Zilic was second in Friday's truck race and won yesterday's O'Reilly race, taking the lead on the final turn of the race from one of his best friends, Jesse Love. 9 to go in stage 1.
Commercial break on Fox Sports 1. Our live commentary coverage continues here on KRC. You can vote for who you think is going to win today's race in our chat poll, which remains open till the end of stage 2 during these live commentary streams. That'll be right at the halfway mark today, lap 50 of 100. 55 votes have already been casted. Shane Van Gisbergen largely the favorite to win at 47% of those 55 votes. 38% of you taking somebody other than SVG, Connor Zilic, or Austin Cindric. Cindric only 4% of the votes after qualifying third. And Connor Zilic getting 11% of the votes to get his first career NASCAR Cup Series victory. Seen 2 first-time winners already this season with Carson Hocevar at Talladega 2 weeks ago and Ty Gibbs at Bristol last month in April. And now it is going to be interesting to see what is going to take place here at Watkins Glen today. Can Connor Zilic be the 3rd driver already this season to get their first career Cup win? That would be insane if he is able to do that. But he's looking good right now. Keep yourself up in contention. All you really want to do is kind of put yourself second place. Like, you don't have to beat SVG. You can get yourself into second and then hope that either, a speeding penalty or a problem of some sort for Van Gisbergen happens, or we get a late race restart and he takes himself out of the race that way by way of just not timing his restart out well and or other matters could get taken in hand, of course, with just how chaotic we tend to see late race restarts at any given track. But Watkins Glen here this weekend could be even more so with those track limits in turn one, where the field will be rushing down double wide at that point. The restart zone is also in between turn 6 and 7, kind of towards the entry to turn 7, which is the final corner of the racetrack. They had moved that last season as well to try to help from cars stacking up into the first turn. Glad that they kept that again for this year, especially with the track limits. It has helped, at least by way of not making this as dangerous or as too chaotic when it comes to crashes in that first turn, because I was a little nervous of that with the track limits being added. But obviously the truck series had their issues, but yesterday in O'Reilly was pretty clean over there in turn one, and 1-for-1 in the Cup series when it comes to starts and restarts in that area of the track as well. KTN USA, thanks for tuning in also. Christopher McComas, welcome to the stream. Happy early birthday. Your fiance's birthday is Wednesday. Okay. Yeah, I saw Billy Kramer in the chat turning 42 tomorrow. You mentioned, Billy. Happy early birthday to you as well. Here's your lineup. You got the 97, 71, 20, 16, 17, 24 in the garage. Not a bad team. Not a bad team. The road courses, I tend to take guys that qualify well, just because it depends on their situation. Like, I like to have 1 or 2 guys that are going to go for stage points on there. That's why I have Ryan Blaney in my garage, because I think he's going to be a driver who's going to go for stage points. I believe Ryan Blaney and Denny Hamlin lead the Cup Series on road course stage wins in the next-gen era. They're the 2 drivers that tend to stay out for stage points, especially Hamlin because he doesn't qualify well. But he's just good enough to be like outside the top 10 where he can get high stage points for staying out. And Ryan Blaney, usually just a guy who goes for those points. And considering that those guys are 2nd and 4th in the regular season standings right now, that would not shock me if they try to do whatever they can to catch Tyler Reddick. Ryan Blaney, even with qualifying well, started in the 7th place position. He's running 7th right now. I still see him as being a guy who could potentially do that. A lot of rubber being laid down on the racetrack already, a decent amount of tire fall off. It's causing quite the separation in the running order, position by position, even towards the front of the field. Shane Van Gisbergen over a 5-second lead in just 15 laps. At the end of lap 5, he only had about a second lead on McDowell. At the end of lap 10, it was about 2.5 seconds, and now it's about 5.5 after lap 15. So he is just outpacing. And again, the longer the run goes, he can save his stuff a little bit better. He's the only driver who's able to utilize the clutch when downshifting as well as he does compared to everybody else. Because while we've seen tire fall off in practice over 20 laps being about 4 seconds, you look at Michael McDowell's fastest lap of the race, he's fallen off about 2 seconds a lap already, but SVG's only fallen off about 1.2 seconds a lap. So while, yes, his tires are still falling off, it's nowhere near the pace of everybody else. And he still runs fast on the short run compared to everybody else just because of how good he is on the bus stop alone. Connor Zilic is slowly closing in on Michael McDowell for 2nd place, though, so don't count him out of it. Got some green flag pit stops going on right now. Austin Dillon in the pits.
Fuel window is 36 laps, so you could do this race on 2 trips to pit road. But remember what Randall Burnett told that 88 crew that we just saw. It's probably a 3-stop race. I think what you're going to see, remember they closed pit road 2 laps before the end of the stage when the leader crosses the start-finish line. I think this next lap, and for sure with 3 to go, you're going to see a lot of them come to pit road and do what we call flip the stage. That means they'll have the track position when the stage ends.
You'll need to be within 7 seconds of the leader to make it to pit road before it closes if you're waiting till.
Well, there you go. So Mike Joy laid it out for us, about 7 seconds of difference if you're waiting until coming to 2 to go to pit. Right now, Michael McDowell is at about that 7-second difference. 6.9 seconds out of the lead is McDowell in 2nd, behind Shane Van Gisbergen, now 9.1 seconds to Connor Zilic in 3rd. Ross Chastain, 12.9 seconds out of the lead in 4th. Joey Logano in 5th place is 13.5 seconds back. Ryan Blaney 13.8 back up to 6th. He just passed his teammate Austin Cindric, who's now 14.6 back at 7th. Ty Gibbs up to 8th place is 16.8 seconds out of the lead. AJ Allmendinger on the move up 3 positions already in the first 15 laps. He is 19.5 seconds back at 9th. Chris Buescher 21.1 seconds out of the lead, rounding out the top 10. Alex Bowman to pit road in the 48.
Try something, even if they get passed by 10.
Several others also on pit road.
In the second stage, they've still put themselves in a better position. You just want to have a net gain from where you pitted right here.
Reddick away, Alex Bowman finishing up with his stop. Kyle Larson.
Those cars are just exiting pit road that pitted from outside the top 20. They better hope Shane Van Gisbergen comes to pit road and doesn't stay out to get these stage points, because otherwise they're going to get trapped a lap down or pretty darn close to it. We actually saw that in the O'Reilly race. I believe it was stage 1. There were a couple drivers that were too far behind the leaders, and Brett Cruz stayed out to get the stage points from the lead. Connor Zilic on to pit road from 3rd place.
It's tight to the right. That's something easy to fix.
Michael McDowell also in.
SVG stay out 2nd, 3rd place. Other cars putting pressure on.
Ty Gibbs to pit road.
These points, we're not even in the playoffs yet.
He might be the only driver in car that can score stage points, win a stage, and still win the race. I think he's the only one that can do it, especially here in stage 1. We got a long way to go.
Almost half the field is on pit road with 3 to go.
It's a track position game. There's no question. You're setting yourself up. You play these races in reverse. But when you're at the speed of that 97 car, he gives you the availability to do a little bit bigger playbook.
SVG will have to pit this time if he chooses to, and it looks like he will be coming to pit road, as there will be 2 laps to go at the start-finish line this time by the leaders in.
That start-finish line. And the pits will close with 2 laps to go.
And the advantage that he had taking being the leader was he could wait an extra lap. But they saw how many cars pitted. They knew that they would be in big trouble if they stayed on the racetrack.
And now no one else can pit because the pits are closed all the way down to Jimmy Little.
So far, so perfect for Shane Van Gisbergen. Led the first 18 laps of this one. They counted down all the way into the number 1 box. Remember, a lot of these swap the front changer and the rear changer just to keep the number the same. Solid stop for the 97.
Yeah, I love when he took off right there. Not a lot of wheel spin. You want to take care of those rear tires every chance that you get. You see a lot of guys that burn the tires. He just locked the thing forward and managed that wheel spin to be virtually.
All right, so lap and a half to go now in stage 1. We've got a battle for the stage win between Ross Chastain, Joey Logano, and Ryan Blaney. 3-horse race after the top 3 in the running order in front of these 3 had also hit pit road. So assuming they choose to pit at the end of the stage, they're going to be back in traffic a bit, but they're hoping it's going to be worth it for these points. And Shane Van Gisbergen, by the way, if you're a fan of his, wondering if he's still in the top 10 to get stage points, he is. He had cycled off of pit road in 8th place. He's the only driver that was able to make a green flag pit stop and still be in the top 10. So he's in 8th, and he's roughly 19 seconds out of the lead. Next highest in the running order of those that pitted was Michael McDowell. He's in 11th, and then Connor Zilic right around 15th. That'd be the top 3 of those that ended up hitting pit road. Ty Gibbs, Chris Buescher, Tyler Reddick would probably end up lining 4th, 5th, and 6th on the restart. They're 18th, 19th, and 20th. Chastain pulled Joey Logano over the last half a lap or so. Joey was putting a lot of pressure on him. Out of the bus stop on the second to last lap of stage 1, but on the final lap of stage 1 now, it is Ross Chastain slowly pulling away. So one Trackhouse car dominates the lead most of the laps in stage 1, while the other one stays out to get the stage points. Kind of a team unit here for Trackhouse Racing to have a pretty solid start to today's race. And leading every lap of stage 1 collectively between the 97 and the 1. And the 88 of Connor Zilic was up to 3rd place by the end of the first stage before he had hit pit road. He's just a couple seconds behind Michael McDowell on track. First green, white, checkered flag in the air. Stage 1 comes to an end. Caution free in the first stage. Ross Chastain will pick up the stage win. Much needed as he came into the day 18th in the point standings. Joey Logano, who also came in below the cut line, 17th in points, Probably not a surprise he also stays out. Ryan Blaney, I mentioned, he usually stays out for points on the road courses. He's third at the end of stage 1. Austin Cindric fourth. AJ Allmendinger, another driver below the cut line, rounds out the top 5 in 5th. And you got John Hunter Nemechek in 6th, Christopher Bell in 7th. Then Shane Van Gisbergen in 8th after leading most of the laps from the pole. Bubba Wallace 9th, Riley Herbst in 10th. So that is the top 10 in the running order. 22 spots gained for Riley Herbst in that first stage to get to 10th place with all the pit cycling. One point better than none. Tough to tell by the eye test of exactly how many cars pit, because there's kind of a split in the running order of those that did and those that didn't outside the top 20 that I'm not 100% sure that came to pit road, but we'll have to wait and see, I guess, when pit road opens during the stage break of exactly how many of those cars stay out on the racetrack because they already made their first stop. Yep, I gave the shout outs in the chat. Yes, SVG did already pit. So he'll be the leader on the restart, Van Gisbergen will. I doubt anybody stays out. The tire fall-off we've seen today, I don't think anybody's going to stay out at the end of the stages. We've seen that in the past with next-gen road course races when there hasn't been a lot of tire fall-off, but we're not going to see that today. All those drivers that stayed out for those points in the top 10, which is all but SVG, they're definitely going to hit pit road here. Which I think is just going to make it even harder to beat in the 97, knowing that there isn't a lot of tire fall, or there is a lot of tire fall off, that it's not really going to differentiate the strategy much. Because even if you're choosing to get the stage points versus not, everybody's still pitting within the fuel window of about 4 to 5 laps, give or take. It's not going to upset the tire life, I guess, as much. Versus there were some races before where, I'd see drivers go like 40 to 50 laps at a Watkins Glen or another road course without having to pit for tires, and not only try to stretch the fuel run out as much as they can, but maybe go like fuel only and then cycle back out higher in the running order because they're saving 10 seconds or so because of not taking tires. They're going splash and go. So all that strategy is out the window here today, especially the extra 10 laps. All culminating together to not being able to have that happen. We'll take our first break of the stream. You're listening live on KRC. Full flag-to-flag coverage of today's race continues. Only took about 25 minutes to get through stage number 1 at Watkins Glen. Stage 2 going to be a little longer, 30 laps in length. Of the 10 laps added to the race, all of them added in stage 2. And I think a lot of that has to do because of the caution laps at the end of stage 1 to try to make it kind of closer to the green flag length of stage 1 and stage 2.
Yesterday we saw Kyle Larson come back on the racetrack with 4 laps down. And to try to get one extra point possibly as that race ended. He lost the regular season championship by 1 point last year. And, I think when you start to see those things, every moment matters now with the way that the chase format is.
Check out the all-new Fox Sports digital show Speed with Harvick and Buxton, fueled by Poet. Subscribe to Speed on Fox on YouTube, the Fox Sports app, or wherever you get your podcasts. Now, here was the race for the final stage point. You think points aren't important? Watch this.
Oh, yeah, they're close right here. You see McDowell on the inside, Riley Herbst on the outside, and Bubba Wallace is right there in the middle and just misses out on getting that final point.
A couple of drivers had trouble on pit road. Brad Keselowski slid through his pit. He's now 35th. And Noah Gregson, remember, we're pitting on the right side. And the only time we do that this year, and 2 of the crewmen ran into each other during the stop. So
sounds like something that would happen on a NASCAR Thunder 2004 video game.
Stop on the green, Regan.
Pit stop
Went
sequence.
from the start of the day for Joey Logano was to do what they could to get stage points in stage 1 and 2. That worked out in stage 1. Need a little bit of turn in that car after lap 3. Josh? Stage 1 winner Ross Chastain said overall that car's just too tight. Said he felt like the rear suspension was falling out of it by the end of that run. The tire wear adjustment for stretch fuel saving.
Hudson Cinder comes in fourth, said he's a little bit too tight overall. They told him he's in 2 and 3 air pressure adjustment to help the issues. 4 tires, stop for the 2.
Chastain, Logano, Blaney, the first drivers off pit road after this stop at the end of a caution 3, stage number 1 in Watkins, Glen.
Yep, everybody comes to pit road that has not yet been to the pit lane yet during the end of stage number 1. So Shane Van Gisbergen going to be back in the lead. Michael McDowell will be in second. Connor Zilich will shuffle back into third. Fourth place will be Chris Buescher, Christopher Bell in fifth, and then sixth will be Tyler Reddick on the upcoming restart. Watkins Glen and pit stops are very interesting and took strategy before stage break yellows. Yes, it did. Yep. This was always a strategy race. Way back in its 90 lap race length, because it was right on the border of being a 2 to 3 stop race every year we raced here without the stage breaks, because there was no guaranteed yellows. So there would be management throughout the course of the race from the start, and taking the automatic yellows, knowing that they're guaranteed, really dumbing down the strategy side of things and made making it on 2 stops a lot harder. Because if you were to do, let's say the race goes green all the way through and you try 2-stop versus a 3-stop strategy, you could have guys on 3 stops trying to make up time on the fresh tires, kind of like we saw in the O'Reilly race yesterday, to a certain extent, that we were lucky we had a caution right at the edge of the field window in stage 3. That's the only way we're going to get anything like that now. So there could be movement through the field. You're probably not going to see that anymore, unless, again, today we get a caution right around that 35-40 to go window in stage number 3. That's about the only time we could maybe see something similar. And that was a fun watch yesterday. I'm all for strategy racing, depending on, how many times that we see it throughout the year. There are tracks in particular that lay into it more than others, and it's a part of what makes that track unique. Watkins Glen being one of those tracks, unfortunately with the stage racing, it does take that away. You're right, Dean. So into stage number 2, we've got Ross Chastain as the race leader at the end of the last stage. He won the race off pit road, but he's going to be outside the top 10. Waiting for our leaderboard to update, which happens every time the race leader gets back to the start-finish line. So when SVG makes it back, then we'll see the exact running order, and I'll know exactly how many cars stayed out of the pits during that first caution, which again was not for incident. Lap 20 was the end of stage 1. End of stage 2 will be lap 50. That takes us to halfway.
Summer, the biggest tournament on the planet comes to America, and you'll see it all right here on Fox. The 2026 FIFA World Cup kicks off June 11th on Fox and FS1. We're at the end of stage 1, the shortest of 3 stages at Watkins Glen. 23 laps now complete. Shane Van Gisbergen has led 20 of the 23 laps. Ross Chastain, the other 3. And Gibbs was 8th before green flag pit stops. Got a big gain there. He is now 4th. John Hunter Nemechek's crew was over the wall too soon. He will restart at the back. And biggest movers, the RCR cars jumped up a bunch, along with Rose Zane Smith and Noah Gregson and the Wood Brothers' Josh Berry.
Yeah, you see Austin Dillon up there in 8th spot, and Tyler Reddick, we saw him earlier passing for 14th spot. He's up at 6th, so got some new players up at the front.
Yeah, remember Austin Dillon stopped. He was the first driver to pit road back at lap 11? Yes, lap 11.
That was lap 15.
Bowling is part of the festivities here at Watkins Glen International. Regan Smith.
11 laps to
Joining
go.
Michael McDowell at the Go Bowling lanes in the infield. They got to celebrate everything that makes bowling popular, whether you're bowling with friends, family, or even with NASCAR drivers.
You a good bowler, Clint?
I like bowling.
You do?
Goes hand in hand with a good cold beer.
I think Chuck looks like a good bowler, don't you?
No.
No.
23 complete as they line up for the restart, and McDowell and Gisbergen side by side again. Michael McDowell's the only driver here that had any luck in staying with SVG in stage 1.
I agree with you, but keep an eye on this cat right here in the 45 car. He talked about how disappointed he was in his qualifying run, how much confidence he had in his race car, and he's marching to the front. Started 15th.
I'm interested to see if Zilich can take off with these guys and keep pace. About to find out.
All right, through the restart zone, green flag back in the air as we begin stage 2. Shane Van Gisbergen close to clearing Michael McDowell up out of the 7th turn, coming back to the start-finish line. Squeezed him a bit, but he was able to get clear, and actually McDowell hopped down to try to get some draft behind the 97 on that inside lane. We're trying to widen his arc out, entering the first turn. Everybody makes it through, unscathed through turn 1. Top 6 cars single file. Another side-by-side battle for 7th initially, entering the S's. Not anymore. That battle was Daniel Suarez and Chase Briscoe for that spot. Top 23 cars stayed out of the pits during the stage break, by the way. Michael McDowell was able to hold within a second of Shane Van Gisbergen at the initial start of the race for about 5 laps. We'll see how this is going to go this time. We're on lap 5 of stage 2, so we have 4 laps spent under caution. At the stage end, Kyle Larson having to lift to keep it off that tire wall on the exit of turn 5. He also got a little bit of contact from behind by the 38 of Zane Smith. And he is going to lose so many spots. He lost about 2 to 3 positions with the lift, and then the contact cost him another 3+ positions. Not to mention he's still stuck on the outside around a lot of this racetrack, which is buried with right-hand turns. He's been on that left-hand side. I believe that's Denny Hamlin in the 11. No, the 6 of Brad Keselowski is around him. And Brad gets contacted from behind 3 wide as Austin Cindric's in there. And Larson bodied wide again as he loses even more spots. I'm not sure where Larson restarted exactly. I'm going to go back and look. Larson restarted in 17th, and he's already back to 28th. 11 positions lost in just over a lap for Larson. Bad day has gotten even worse for the 5 team. Also curious to see if Shane Van Gisbergen can run his fastest lap of the race here in stage 2 versus what he was able to do back in stage 1. 73.178 was back on lap 5. It is pretty amazing, though, that you can run your fastest laps of the race 4 or 5 laps into the run before the tires really start to fall off. And when they fall off fast. Connor Zilich putting heavy pressure into turn 1 on 2nd place. Michael McDowell to the inside goes Zilich. Will make the pass, and the rookie is up to 2nd place. And trying to keep pace with his teammate, he's going to try to do his best to drive up to him and replicate the same speed that Shane Van Gisbergen was able to do. We saw these two go toe-to-toe so many times in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series last year when SVG would run the road courses as a full-time Cup rookie, and Zilich, of course, was full-time in O'Reilly. We could see a great battle between those two here today. It's been the SVG show so far, but Connor Zilich now, again, up to 2nd after qualifying 5th. SVG on the pole. Outpacing everybody else thus far. Michael McDowell's going to have to make sure he can keep decent pace here because Ty Gibbs is putting a lot of pressure on him as well for 3rd. Not sure if maybe that 71 team made the wrong adjustment. when they pit it before the end of stage 1 or not, but they don't look as competitive. It's what they did back in the first stage. He ran second every step of the way. All right, lost a spot and in danger of losing another. All right, so with everything shuffling through the running order because of drivers staying out to get stage points or staying out because they were too far back in the field to pit without falling off of the lead lap, this is what the running order through the 38-car field looks like. We got Shane Van Gisbergen in the lead, Connor Zilisch up to second, Michael McDowell third, Ty Gibbs fourth, Tyler Reddick is now fifth, with Austin Dillon in sixth, Daniel Suarez seventh, Chase Briscoe eighth, William Byron ninth, and Chris Buescher in 10th. Kyle Busch up to 11th, Denny Hamlin 12th, Todd Gilliland 13th, Cole Custer 14th, Eric Jones 15th, with Ryan Preece in 16th, Carson Hocevar 17th, Stage 1 winner Ross Chastain's now 18th. He restarted 24th, so he's up 6 spots already. Alex Bowman in 19th, Ryan Blaney 20th, Josh Berry 21st, 22nd Zane Smith, Austin Cindric 23rd, 24th Noah Gragson, Joey Logano in 25th, 26th is Kyle Larson, 27th is Christopher Bell, Ty Dillon 28th, AJ Allmendinger 29th, and 30th is Bubba Wallace. Chase Elliott 31st still, Riley Herbst 32nd, Jonathan Nemechek 33rd, Cody Ware 34th, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 35th, Brad Keselowski 36th, Josh Berry 37th, and Catherine Legg rounds out the 38-car field. Side-by-side commercial break currently ongoing on Fox Sports 1, lap 28 of 100 here today at Watkins Glen, roughly 42 minutes into the race. One caution for 3 caution laps. That was a stage 1 break at lap 20. No cautions for incidents so far. 2 lead changes. SVG pitting after leading the first 18 laps from the pole position. Chastain led at the end of stage 1. During the caution, Chastain pits. SVG back in the lead, and that's where we sit. Connor Zilisch within a couple tenths of a second, though, of our race leader as we wrap up lap number 9 of stage number 2 out of 30. These two are pulling away from both the 71 and 54 in the 3rd and 4th place position right now. We were waiting to see if we would have a Cup Series battle between Van Gisbergen and Zilisch. Didn't get it at Coda, but I think we're going to see it here at Watkins Glen today. And Connor Zilisch in this second stage looks about as good as Shane Van Gisbergen, if not better. 2 laps ago, SVG was about a tenth slower than Zilisch. Last lap by, Van Gisbergen just nearly ran his fastest lap of the race and picked up a couple tenths. Connor Zilisch did just run his fastest lap of the race, though, that last time by, despite the fact Van Gisbergen was quicker. Zilisch, lap 29, fastest lap was a 73.306. Ty Gibbs in 4th also ran his fastest lap of the race that last time by, a 73.673. So you try to put the pressure on the drivers in front of them. Maybe pick up a position here shortly. Take another break while the side-by-side commercial continues. I'll let you listen into a little bit of the broadcast when they come back. Watkins Glen coverage ongoing. Fantasy lineups will lock at the end of stage 2, just like the chat poll. So if you haven't voted for who you think is going to win today's race yet, be sure to do so before you're out of time to be able to vote. I might put another poll in there at the end of stage 2 and let that run for a bit in stage 3, just kind of based off of how we've seen this race so far. Like, I might take Cindric out of the poll and then repost based off of how the race went between SVG, Zilisch, and other. But right now, 73 votes have been casted. 49% of you taking Van Gisbergen, Connor Zilisch, and 12% of the votes. 36% say other, and only 3% Cindric. We started in that top 3. Yeah, just trading lap times back and forth are Zilisch and Van Gisbergen. 1 lap SVG is quicker, the next lap Zilisch is quicker. Zilisch has been quicker 3 of the last 4 laps, but that 1 lap he wasn't as quick. SVG was about 0.2 of a second faster. The closer Connor Zilic trails behind Shane Van Gisbergen, or I should say the only, but the hardest part he's going to have to deal with the dirty air problems is going through the S's. Uphill, high speed, kind of side winding corners back to back. His car may get tight going through there, but everywhere else he can just kind of trail, kind of make up a little bit of ground as well by way of the draft because there are 3 very long straightaways at this track. Out of the S's between the bus stop, between turns 5 and 6, out of the carousel, and on the main front straightaway between turn 7 and then turn 1 to start the following lap. 68 laps to go this time by. McDowell pulling away from Ty Gibbs just a bit. He's got about a second difference between 3rd and 4th place. Tyler Reddick, quite good day in the 5th position. Looking to add on to his regular season points lead.
He gets off a little better than Connor Zilic.
You know what, though? I am impressed with Connor Zilic. I know they're in the same equipment, same race cars, but he is keeping him honest. That's a 99 to a 95. It was a 63 to a 61. They have been right there. But Kevin, you know as well as I do, the closer you run to that race car, the more you wear your stuff out.
Yeah, everything gets hot, man. And I think that's why you're going to see Connor Zilic dip out right here when you get to the straightaway, just to try to get a breath of air every once in a while. Sometimes you'll do that to make the guy think that you're looking inside, but I'm not so sure that those types of tricks aren't going to work on the 97 car of SVG. Regan?
What happened when you see the 88 car Connor Zilic running in 2nd place right there? This is almost a perfect scenario for what he and the team wanted for today. The goal was to get in a position to where they could be behind Shane Van Gisbergen, follow him, figure out exactly how to pace these tires in this Cup car, which is different than the cars that he's been running up until this point at Watkins Glen. Right now, he's just told the team that, yes, I am managing my brakes, I'm managing my tires. They've been on the radio continuously reminding him about that. And when you think about the pressure that 88 team is under to have a good performance today, they told me all that matters to us is to make sure Connor is having, the rest will take care of itself. Josh? Well, Ty Gibbs currently running in the 4th position. Traditionally, he's been third on road course. They've had their struggles here at Watkins Glen, just one to finish. Tyler Allen identified a number of areas he can get better at. And one of those is setting up the car a little bit better. They've been too free in the past. Came over the radio at the end of that first run. Once again, he was just too free to make the moves that he wants to in this race. The team also reminding him that this stage, 5 laps longer, preserve his tires, Jamie.
And Josh, just behind him, Tyler Reddick in the 45, up 10 spots since the start of this race. This has been a challenging road course for Tyler. And I talked to his crew chief, Billy Scott. He said they applied something at Circuit of the Americas earlier in the season that worked. Obviously, he went to Victory Lane. They were able to apply that here. The car so far, so good, but he did get some damage on the left front down into turn 1 earlier. The crew checked it out. All looks good. They made an air pressure adjustment to help him out.
Thanks, Jamie. There's Reddick in 5th, ahead of Austin Dillon. The first car of the stop under green, which was at lap 15. Now, fastest through the bus stop. Look at these times. On average, of the laps that we have run under green, Van Gisbergen with a 10th on the field there. McDowell and Gibbs fairly close, but as you've been saying all day, Kevin, there's his advantage.
Yeah, well, that's SVG's advantage, but it sure looks like we found one of the most important sections on the racetrack based upon the running order and fastest bus stops times. They're identical.
38 drivers, all still on the lead lap. We're running lap 14 of 30 in stage 2 of 3.
All right, live commentary coverage continues. Top 10 in the running order. Midway through stage 2, Shane Van Gisbergen out in front by 0.4 of a second over Connor Zilic. 2.9 seconds back to Michael McDowell at 3rd. Ty Gibbs 3.2 seconds out of the lead at 4th. And Tyler Reddick 6.2 seconds back in 5th. 7 seconds back in 6th place is Austin Dillon with Daniel Suarez 7.3 back in 7th. Chase Briscoe is 7.6 back in 8th. William Byron in 9th, 8.1 seconds out of the lead. Chris Buescher rounds out the top 10. He is 8.4 seconds back as well. So that is the top 10 in the running order. Position in which they restarted. Only one driver restarted outside the top 10 and got their way in since the restart. That was Byron, up 3 positions from 12th to 9th. Remember that first stage, nobody who had started outside the top 10 actually broke the top 10 until those pit stops happened. Outside of Byron, knowing that the one driver who was in the top 10 is in 11th, Kyle Busch, he is the next man in. Yeah, restarting 11th and 13th and 12th, 13th place anyway, Hamlin and Gillen. Not a lot of movement right now. Middle of the pack, Ryan Blaney has just passed Ross Chastain for 17th. That would be first in the running order of those that stayed out to get stage points back in stage number 1. Curious to see who's going to end up winning stage 2 by way of staying out to get these points as well. I wonder if Tyler Reddick does it, being the regular season points leader. Because I know Denny Hamlin's going to. I called Ryan Blaney was going to earlier. I still believe Hamlin will also, and Hamlin's in 12th. Maybe Kyle Busch. It's going to be interesting. We're going to find out not before long. We're going to start seeing some green flag pit stops at about 10 laps from now. They started with about 5 laps to go in stage number 1. That happens again in stage 2, about 8, 9 laps from where we currently are at. Mike, thanks for tuning in. Where's Elliott running? He was 31st last I checked. Pete Creamer, welcome to the stream also. Logano have a pit penalty. He is buried in the back now. I didn't hear anything of Logano having a penalty. He's 25th. No, I just believe he hit pit road. During the stage break, he just hasn't been able to keep up with Cindric, Blaney, and Chastain since the restart. Quite the struggle as a whole this season for Joey Logano, so getting second place stage points at stage 1 at least softens the blow a bit.
Series kicks off the weekend Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern on FS1. The O'Reilly Auto Parts Series will hit the track at 4 p.m. Eastern on the CW. Sunday, Cup Series All-Stars will battle it out for $1 million. 1 p.m. Eastern on FS1.
At Watkins, Glen, 17 laps out of 30 in stage. The final stage will be 50 laps. With Shane Van Gisbergen out in front of teammate Connor Zilic by about the same 0.6 of a second. That it's been. Now they've just gone through the inner loop, is the official name of what we call the bus stop. That's what it looks like. There at the end of that back straightaway. And let's look at our 2 leaders and use our ghost car to compare them there.
Yeah, and what you're actually going to see is Connor's going to have a little more straightaway speed down here. Might drive it in just a little bit harder before he hits the brakes right there. But you see just a little bit more roll speed right through the center, right there. A little bit lower, pointed better in the second half of that second left-hander, and that carries all the way to the carousel. I mean, gains him a car length pretty much every lap.
One thing that excites me, though, is what we're seeing out of that rookie, Connor Zilic. He had the excitement. We all heard the hype. Can anybody run with that SVG? And the hope was it was Connor Zilic, and he's proven that today. If that SVG slips one wheel anywhere, it's going to be there for the taking. It's keeping him honest for sure.
What would it take to beat SVG today? We asked him. There's your today.
I think it's going to take a perfect day to win on Sunday. It's not easy to make mistakes and still win the race. You see it with Shane at the road courses all the time. He doesn't make mistakes. He doesn't put himself in silly positions. You know, the challenge of going out and trying to beat him is one that I really enjoy.
Connor Zilic leads a lap here today. It will be his first in the Cup Series. Here's his radio. No pressure. The next car is 5.5 seconds behind him.
Yeah, And honestly, that kind of puts a little bit of a damper into SVG's plans because I think when he has somebody pushing him, he has to run a little more pace than he probably wants to run. Now,
Caution. Caution is out. The first caution for cause today.
uh-oh.
And there is the debris.
What is it?
Kevin.
Well, it looks something has obviously blown onto the racetrack. Not sure where it came from.
Well, we can show you.
Oh,
Somebody's canopy or part of their campground area
Sun
went awry and away it went.
We're not Kansas anymore, Toto.
well, yeah, but you see a lot of things like this in Kansas.
That was like one of those wind tornadoes or something went through there.
Yeah, then it blows all the way out onto the racetrack.
Well, there's a soaring center not far from here where you can go fly gliders, but yikes. Just when you think you've seen everything. Under caution for flying debris.
That's one way of putting it. Under caution for flying debris at Watkins Glen International. Interesting. Yeah, a tent from the infield somehow got out of the infield, caught wind, and flew up onto the exit of the Esses area of the racetrack. On the racetrack itself, too. Always strap or stake your tents, everybody. Very easy for the wind to get underneath, capture, blow it away. Made a wardrobe change, by the way. I did throw my Ryan Blaney shirt on during the last couple laps of the telecast. UFO at Watkins Glen. Yeah, it is. I've never seen a caution for a tent blowing onto the racetrack before. That somewhat reminded me of that giant orange Tropicana, just orange ball that was blowing its way down the front stretch at Chicagoland one year. Todd Zaggety was making his qualifying run. I think it was in the Busch Series back in that day, that moment, and crazy stuff. So we're under caution. And this is going to be very interesting to see who pits and who stays out. This right here, believe it or not, is going to flip this race and give other drivers that are not Shane Van Gisbergen and Connor Zilic somewhat of a fighting chance to take those two giants down this afternoon. Because they're either going to be at a slightly more tire disadvantage to the next restart if they choose to pit now, or they're going to stay out and then go for points, and there's going to be other drivers that will cycle in front of them. They're not going to, I highly doubt they're going to be first and second when we begin stage 3, no matter what happens here with who pits or who doesn't. I'm calling my shot. I think they're not going to be first and second at the beginning of stage 3. Dust devil, but in the grass. Yeah, it's like kind of like Clint Boyer said, one of those wind tornadoes. Which I know exactly what he's talking about living in the Midwest.
Watkins Glen, we do here, Larry. Yeah, Mike, it's going to be 9 to go when they get around here with the pits open. If you're going to flip the stage, you were going to come 3 or 4 laps from now. Anyhow, I think if you want to win this race, you better pit now and flip the stage. But we know some near the back, they're going to stay out and try to score these points.
I'll be a guy like that, Chastain. I mean, you're lying on the bed you made now. Went after them stage points. It worked for the first stage. Look for him to stay out, maybe try to capitalize again on stage point.
And these are the types of moments, if you have another quick caution or something happen, that can totally flip these races upside down.
Michael McDowell staying out.
McDowell stays out. Regan?
Well, there's never a question for the 80th Connor Zilic. What they would do is immediately pit when we get around to here. The car's still too tight to the right. It's a little better to the left now. Josh?
Call for the 54 was M&M. They came in to pit here. The biggest complaint for Ty Gibbs is just free towards the end of those runs, Jamie.
Shane Van Gisbergen's led 38 laps today. He said the tires are wearing, but they're not bad at all. He wondered if this was too soon to come, but they said, I think everybody's coming. We need to come in. 4 tires stop for Shane Van Gisbergen.
Race cars stayed out on track, and document this and sort it out for you when we come back.
All right. We'll see the entire field coming their way to pit road that last time by. I don't think you're going to be able to stay out and get stage points here and expect to stay in front of drivers who pit for fresh tires. I think with the fall off we've seen and the fact we had over a 10-lap green flag run, I mean, you're probably going to need about half the field to stay out again like we saw during the stage break in order for that to work and you keep your track position up at the front of the pack. Major Kenneth Withrow, thanks for tuning in. Caution, going to give you guys a couple extra minutes to try to vote for who you think is going to win today's race, as well as the fantasy league that locks at the end of stage 2. And the reason why it gives you a couple extra minutes because green flag laps are quicker than caution laps. We're under caution with 10 laps to go in stage 2. Our first yellow of the day. A tent has blown onto the racetrack from the infield. 48% of 82 votes taking SVG for the win so far. 15% for Connor Zilic. That was down in around 12%, I think, at the start of the race. So as the race has gone on, many of you kind of starting to think Connor Zilic could do it today. Other than the 88 or the 97 is at 35%, only 2% of 83 votes taking Cindric. Zilic just went up another percent in the midst of me talking about that, so he's now at 16%. I'm going to put a new chat poll open at the end of stage 2. As far as the race win goes, just out of curiosity, now that we see Zilic is a legitimate contender today, and if you think it's going to be the 97, 88, or other, it kind of takes Cindric out of there, and I'm curious to see how everything shapes up. But like I said, I'll wait until the end of stage 2, because we always leave the chat poll open at least until that long. Looking at the fantasy league side of things, I really don't know who I'm going to sit at the end of stage 2 currently because the race win is valuable. So we got to keep Zilic and SVG in there for that reason alone. McDowell stayed out. He doesn't look quite as good. Cindric Blaney had a lot of stage points. Ty Gibbs didn't have any. I want to see what this next restart's going to look like.
And it's a great day for Chase. He only won 2 races as early in the year as he's ever won in multiple races in a season. So dangerous.
Join Kevin and the crew every Tuesday and Thursday for Kevin Harvick's Happy Hour. Now, 6 cars stayed on track and did not pit. McDowell, Suarez, Bell, Wallace, Nemechek, and Herb. Michael McDowell questioned Travis Peterson on staying out, and here's what the crew chief told him.
Well, I think if everybody stays out on the racetrack, he's going to come out 31st or so.
And most of them are. And it's going to be about 4 to 5 laps because they were going to flip the stage and pit with 2 or 3 to go anyhow.
Yeah. That's going to be I don't know. We'll have to see how it works out, but odds are a little against you.
Did you play marbles as a kid?
I did.
Well, it's no fun in a race car at this age. Listen to this radio remix.
Yeah.
Talking about is what we heard about and saw in practice, rear grip issues on these long runs. Rear grip starts going away, get loose, and those marbles. You do not want to get on a restart too wide getting the marbles.
They picked a lot of them up. It kind of self-cleans a little bit, but look at them just coming off the tires as they're cleaning their tires up around that bottom groove. And see all those.
That's the hard part as you go on these restarts. You have no choice but to go on the second lane into these marbles. So they clean them up the best that they can under the caution, but when you're double wide, you're still going to pick some up.
And what happens there, those hot tires hit that and it just kicks right on top of that, sticks to your tires for a couple laps, and it's like you're on ice. So the Spire Motorsports Chevys will restart first, second, and Hocevar back in 21st as we get ready to finish off stage. We'll tip the green with 7.
Going to be interesting. Top 6 cars stay out of the pits. Those top 6, Michael McDowell in the lead, Daniel Suarez second, his teammate. Then you got Christopher Bell, Bubba Wallace, 2 Toyotas, third, fourth, followed by 2 more Toyotas in 5th and 6th, Riley Herbst and John Hunter Nemechek. Green flag is in the air, 7 laps to go in stage 2. And Shane Van Gisbergen trying to be the first on 4 fresh tires to get through this pack. 3 wide in the first turn, 1 car goes wide, spinning into turn 1. I believe that's the 35 of Riley Herbst, who was one of those on old tires. Right around 5th place. He's not going to be in the top 5 anymore. Austin Dillon in the S is nearly getting squeezed into the guardrail by John Hunter Nemechek, causing a bit of a stack up. Tail end of those on old tires with those on fresh going to be interesting as they head for the bus stop. A lot of jockeying for position going on back there. And I believe another spinner. Right in the middle of it, William Byron, and he gets hit by Ryan Blaney. Another car sent wide into the grass. A few others having to go to the grass to miss the incident. There was quite a bit of contact and damage, I believe, between the 24 and the 12. Byron spun back around, but that right rear does not look good. I believe Ryan Blaney had hit the right rear tire of Byron. He is sliding his way through the carousel, trying to limp to the pits. Looks like a toe link break for the 24 team. That was right with the nose and or right front fender of Ryan Blaney. I put the shirt on and then that happens. Should have kept the shirt on. Oh my goodness. Tough string of luck for the 12 team lately, that's for sure. That's what happens though when you're mid-pack on the restart at the same time, so at some point you are a creator of your own luck. Michael McDowell's going to have a really hard time trying to win this stage if he did stay out to actually get the stage points themselves. I think there's a very high probability that Shane Van Gisbergen is going to not only win this stage outright, but probably, even if he doesn't get back to the lead, I think those that are in front of him will pit. William Byron's finally made his way back to pit road, so we do stay green. Having that toe link break, I think Ryan Blaney's going to stay out at least until the stage end and then maybe pit there, as he's back in the 21st place position. Byron should fall off the lead lap. He just got to his pit box as the race leader, Michael McDowell, works his way out of turn number 7. 5 laps to go in the stage. SVG up to second. Next highest in the running order behind Van Gisbergen on his strategy, I believe, is Tyler Reddick. And Connor Zilic did not have a good restart in traffic in that 88 car because he obviously was with SVG every step of the second stage. Right now, Zilic is in 16th, and he's lost 7 positions since the restart. So something happened to Connor that slowed him up, and I'm not sure of maybe everything that happened in the bus stop. Yep, it was the bus stop because Zilic was one of those drivers who had to go through the grass and try to miss the incident. And he lost several positions with cars that were able to keep themselves on the racetrack and get through it all. There was so much smoke and drivers kind of clipping the grass and muddy area that was kicking dirt up as to exactly how William Byron went around. There was a couple of cars that made contact in front of him, and then Brad Keselowski in the 6. Or was that Chris Buescher in the 17? I don't know. It might have been Buescher if Byron was up in the top 10. There was an RFK Ford of some kind, whether it was Buescher or Keselowski, that clipped Byron in the left rear as they were getting into the bus stop, and that's what spun Byron around. Keselowski back in 37th. I wonder if it was him. I mentioned Zilich was in 15th a couple laps ago. He's already back up to 11th. 4 positions gained over the last lap plus. SVG blowing by Michael McDowell and entering the bus stop. Van Gisbergen back out in front again. All right, so SVG will lead. Coming to the line this time, we'll have 3 laps to go. Good probability Michael McDowell's going to hit pit road this time. He's got Tyler Reddick in the 45 car trailing him and trying to make this pass. Next question is, does Shane Van Gisbergen pit coming to 2 to go, or does he stay out and get the stage points? Only 6 cars that stayed out of the pits there. I think he's going to stay out and get the stage points. Because he's fast enough to get back by cars even on equal tires. Aids him for the chase side of things as he came in below the cut line. If he can get double-digit stage points today and potentially get a race win, which we know is very valuable under this current points format, that will be good for him too. Top 5 in the running order with 2.5 laps to go in stage 2 has Shane Van Gisbergen in the lead, Tyler Reddick second, Michael McDowell third, Ty Gibbs fourth, and Austin Dillon in fifth. Great run for Austin Dillon today. He already had a decent amount of stage points in stage 1, and here he is in fifth, having a solid day still. Definitely not somebody you would think of as being a particularly good road course racer, but having a good day today. His teammate Kyle Busch just a couple spots behind him in 7th as RCR tries to turn that wagon around. Busch pulling out a line to make another pass for position on Bubba Wallace, who's on those older tires. Busch will slide through into 6th place in turn 6. Busch has had some good momentum and decent speed going for him the last few weeks between the top 10 at Dega, his first of the season. Last week in Texas, ran top 10 the whole race, and here he is in 6th today. I believe was 6th fastest in practice overall yesterday also. Chris Buescher going to get by Walls. 2 laps to go in the stage. McDowell stayed out of the pit still. Austin Dillon just passed him for 4th. McDowell now in 5th. Loses another spot in the S's to Kyle Busch, and McDowell's fading fast. Chris Buescher around the outside. I don't even know that he's going to stay in the top 10, honestly. Shane Van Gisbergen's lead is about 0.8 of a second over Tyler Reddick. The gap to Gibbs is 1.6 seconds to 3rd. Austin Dillon 2.2 seconds back in 4th, and Kyle Busch 2.9 seconds back in 5th. So that's the intervals with those top 5 positions. Tyler Reddick going all out, trying to run down Shane Van Gisbergen for the stage 2 win. And he's closed in on him just a bit, 0.6 of a second back as they come to the final lap of the stage. He is right there. Connor Zilich back up inside the top 10 as well, looking to make a pass for 9th place. Michael McDowell right in front of him. He should get by the 71 also. Clears Bubba Wallace for 9th. To the inside of Michael McDowell into the S's and through to 8th place is Zilich, trying to do a little bit of catch-up after a not-so-good restart in the middle of the pack. Despite contact in the bus stop for Ryan Blaney when I mentioned he was 23rd after contact with Byron, he's actually up to 15th now. So maybe not that much damage on the 12 car to have to assess when he more than likely will come to pit road at the end of the stage. McDowell trying to hold on for some kind of stage points. I think for the sake of my fantasy team, keeping Blaney in the garage. You know what? He's rocketing through the field. I'm going to put him in there. Never mind. Michael McDowell's fading too fast. I don't like the strategy he's on, so I'm taking McDowell out. 1 stage point to Blaney's 8. All right. I'm locked up. My fantasy league is locked up. I've got Shane Van Gisbergen, Ryan Blaney, Connor Zilic, Ty Gibbs, and Austin Cindric as my 5 at the end of stage number 2. And head-to-head, as of the race going right now, kind of 2 for 4 on my picks there. Still got the second half of the race. Stage 2 results was Shane Van Gisbergen winning stage 2, Tyler Reddick in second, Ty Gibbs in third, Austin Dillon fourth, Kyle Busch fifth, Chris Buescher is sixth, seventh is Austin Cindric, with Connor Zilic eighth, Chase Briscoe in ninth, and Bubba Wallace rounding out the top 10. So those are the 10 drivers at the end of stage number 2 getting their points. Time to close the chat poll at the end of stage 2 also. 93 votes for who you think is going to win today's race. SVG at 44%. 35% saying somebody other than SVG, Zilic, or Cindric. Zilic at 18% and 3% for Austin Cindric. I'm going to open up another chat poll. And I'm going to ask the same question. Who wins at Watkins Glen today? We're going to go SVG, Connor Zilic, and somebody other than those two. So taking Cindric out of there. And again, this is going to be based on how the race has gone so far through the first half. And I'm curious to see who gets the most votes now. Because SVG won that last poll pretty easily, and I'm curious to see if it's going to be any closer. Especially with that caution changing things just a little bit more also. Tyler Reddick, who beat SVG at Coda right there in second. He could be that other that could get the win. Reddick wins his 6th race of the season in 12 races, so that is going to be absurd. It's already absurd that he had 5 in the first 9, then he gets another one just a few races later. He's a good road course racer. He's won 4 times in the next-gen car on road courses, including once this season. It's 1 for 1. He's not been able to lead yet today. Haven't highlighted the point standings yet. This is where they stacked up coming into this afternoon. Again, this is the 12th race out of 26 in the regular season. In the chase for the cup, Tyler Reddick, 109 points ahead of Denny Hamlin, leads the regular season championship with those 5 wins. Hamlin has 1. Chase Elliott just picked up his 2nd win last week. He is at minus 117. Ryan Blaney, minus 155, sits in 4th with Chris Buescher, minus 181 in 5th. Carson Hocevar, 6th in points, up 2 spots again after last week. At Texas, Ty Gibbs, minus 2 spots as he falls to 7th. Had that crash off the front bumper of Ryan Preece. Middle going of that race. Kyle Larson, 8th in points. Not a good day going for him. Same for Keselowski. Poor performance today. He's 9th in the standings. And Willie Byron just had a toe leg break. He came into the day 10th in points. Bubba Wallace 11th. Christopher Bell in 12th. Ryan Preece 13th. Daniel Suarez 14th. Austin Cindric 15th with Chase Briscoe 16th. 17th was Joey Logano. Ross Chastain 18th in points. Shane Van Gisbergen 19th. And AJ Allmendinger 20th. SVG coming into the day behind Briscoe for that final chase spot. His deficit would have been 27 points. And he has already scored 13 stage points today. If he gets a race win, very high probability SVG is going to be back inside the top 16 of points. Ross Chastain won stage 1 today, and he came in 26 points behind Briscoe. Logano had 9 stage points in stage 1. He came in 7 points behind Chase Briscoe. Briscoe's had a couple of stage points, but nowhere near the amount of those first 3 drivers in the standings behind him. He had 2 points here in stage 1. He had a couple in stage 2 as well. SVG looking like he's going to come to pit road this time. No, he's going to stay out of the pits here. I'm curious how many drivers will stay out. A lot of the top 10 are going to stay out. We got a couple that obviously stayed out to try to go for points. Didn't really get many, but they're long. McDowell, Wallace.
Michael McDowell's team had been on the wall with 3 laps to go, planning to pit. And then obviously they decided to stay out. Lost those stage points, worked out there. Tighter through the right-handers and snapping loose through the lefts. Josh?
Well, I can tell you, Bubba Wiles, that final stage point there, happy with the car, just 4 tires and fuel for the 23, Jamie.
The leaders.
Wallace leads him off pit road after a fill-up with Sunoco race fuel with ponies.
For a few other drivers in the back half of the field, other than the 6 that stayed out originally that came to pit road, but far more of them staying out of the pits. Over half the field going to stay out, burying these drivers deep in traffic. An important thing for Michael McDowell, who was top 3, top 4 the entire day before trying to go on this pit strategy. He's going to be well outside the top 20. As we begin the final stage here today, Shane Van Gisbergen, your Stage 2 winner, has dominated the race in the lap sled category. Started on the pole, he's led 43 of 51 completed laps. Tyler Reddick is going to be second on the restart with Ty Gibbs third, Austin Dillon fourth. Kyle Busch is going to be up to 5th place. And I'll wait to go through the rest of the top portion of the leaderboard. Once they get back to the start-finish line this time around, our leaderboard will update. Got some cars that were on pit road that are cycle ahead of others, like Wallace. Everybody will still have to pit for fuel and tire purposes one more time between now and the finish of the race. If you're pitting now during the stage break, still going to have to pit. Can't make it on fuel. Fuel window 34 to 36 green flag laps. And by the time we restart, we're probably going to have around 45 or a little bit more than that laps remaining. Easy Network, thanks for tuning in. McDowell probably not happy. Went from top 5 at the start, stage 3 mid-20s. Yeah, exactly. That was a very, very tough decision to have to make. And he was frustrated when they made the call, and I don't think that's helping him any. Catherine Legg set to compete in the 2026 Indy 500 for AJ Foyt Racing. Yes, I did see that news a week or 2 ago, and that was announced. Obviously, Catherine Legg in the field today. 78 car for Live Fast Motorsports. I believe everybody that started the race on the lead lap, minus William Byron, who had that toe leg break. Byron is 4 laps down, but the other 37 out of 38 cars that started the race are on the lead lap. On 1771, thanks for tuning in also. First 10 votes that were casted for the new chat poll of who you think is going to win. SVG still getting 60% of those 10 votes. Only 1 of the 10 taking Connor Zilich and 3 taking somebody other than SVG or Zilich. All right, so leaderboard is updated now. We got Shane Van Gisbergen out in front. Tyler Reddick is second. Ty Gibbs third. Austin Dillon fourth. Kyle Busch is fifth. Sixth is Chris Buescher. 7th for Austin Cindric. Connor Zilich 8th. Chase Briscoe 9th. Ross Chastain is 10th. 11th for Ryan Preece. Denny Hamlin 12th. That will be the top dozen. Decent amount of a race left, though. Still got a little less than half of this race remaining. What a weekend it'd be for Connor Zilich if he can get the win in 2 out of 3 races and then finish second in the other. Van Gisbergen and Zilich, the only 2 drivers doing triple duty this weekend, running all 3 races. Probability we'll be back to racing this time by. Waiting to see if they get the choose rule coming out of the bus stop or not. A choose cone is right between the exit of the bus stop and the carousel of turn 5, and it does look like we will be going green as they are making their choose. Nope, never mind. Still single file. Lights are on the pace car still. One more lap of caution. Well, the lights are out on the pace car still. That was weird the way they went single file. I think they were just trying to stay out of the marbles. Going through the carousel. They ran through their single file after they chose their lane, and they went right back in the double file manner. So that threw me in for a little bit of a confusion. Van Gisbergen has dominated the restarts today. I mean, he's been clear coming out of turn 7 on every restart so far. Bump from behind by Ty Gibbs. Van Gisbergen launches, and he's well clear up out of turn 7 again. Coming back to the start-finish line, he's already pulling the 45 of Reddick. Reddick trying to get back in the draft and get some of that ground made right back up again. Reddick to the outside of Van Gisbergen entering turn 1. SVG so close to clearing Reddick. Maybe a little bit of contact there, but the 97 is out ahead, and he is clear into the SS after all. Second ditch late effort by Reddick. Nearly had a chance to stay alongside of Van Gisbergen after not firing off well initially, getting through that restart zone. What kind of pace is Tyler Reddick going to have compared to the 97? We saw a glimpse of it at the end of stage 2. Field got single file very quickly on this last restart. More quickly than I think they've been on any restart or the initial start of the race so far today. Denny Hamlin ducking out of line late at the end of the straightaway between turns 5 and 6, trying to make a pass. Valiant effort, but to no avail. I believe he's battling with Priest in the 60. Hamlin back to the inside into turn 1 again as he looks to make a pass. And he does get by Priest this time. That pass is for 11. Denny Hamlin runner-up a couple years ago at Watkins Glen in 2023. Not really a good road course racer outside of that one lone performance where he was in competition for the race win. RCR having a pretty solid day thus far. We'll see if they can keep their cars up there. The two Chevys are running 4th and 5th of Austin Dillon and Kyle Busch. 2 laps into the restart, Shane Van Gisbergen still leads. Tyler Reddick 2nd, Ty Gibson 3rd, Austin Dillon 4th, Kyle Busch is 5th, and Chris Buescher in 6th. 7th place is Connor Zilich, Austin Cindric in 8th, Ross Chastain 9th, Chase Briscoe rounds out the top 10. Stays green to the end of the race by far. This is going to be the longest green flag run of the day. The longest before that, obviously, stage 1 going caution-free. Stage 1 of 20 laps, same length in yesterday's O'Reilly race, also went caution-free. Somebody locked their tires up in the top 5 going into the first turn. Ryan Preece doing the same from 12. Be careful not to have a flat spot. Ryan Blaney was looking to make a pass for 13th on Eric Jones. Couldn't make that said pass. He does have that right front fender damage, but the team not looking to repair it. He was still picking up positions. It doesn't seem like it was hurting him at all. I always dislike when teams have damage. They're running well still despite the damage, and then they try to make the fix anyway, and it costs them so much time in the pits that they lose all their track position, and they're just never able to get it back. Even if they make the car a little bit better than what it was, it's just too much of a loss to get back. And I'm glad that the 12 team, especially as a Ryan Blaney fan, that they didn't do that, and they kept him up around 13th, 14th place. If he had pitted, he would be back where, obviously, McDowell and those guys are. About 7-lap fresher tires. All right. Tyler Reddick's still within a half a second for now. We need to find out where he's going to be after 10 laps into this run. 10 laps plus into a green flag run on tires. Nobody's been able to keep up with Shane Van Gisbergen. That's when he really started to gap even Connor Zilic back at stage 2, right before the caution for the 10th, flying onto the racetrack. Zilic was still within a second, but he wasn't right on that back bumper of the 88 anymore like he was, or of the 97, excuse me, anymore like he was for a little while. High tire fall off. Most of these drivers probably going to split this final stage in half. Most of the time on road courses, you'd want to be the first to pit last because the track is so big, you won't have to really worry about going a lap down, pitting under green, even if the leaders stay out for a little bit. So if a caution comes out, you can cycle back in front of them. Just not used to seeing this much tire fall off on road courses. We saw that a couple times last year with Mexico City, the high elevation down in that area of the globe. And then also at Watkins Glen in the Roval late in the year. And we're seeing that again at Watkins Glen today as well. We had some tire fall off at Coda, but it wasn't anywhere near what it is this weekend. "58 laps complete out of 100 here today. We'll take a quick break here. Side-by-side commercial break continues on Fox Sports 1. I'll let you listen into a little more of the coverage when they do get back. Got 18 votes right now, 44% taking SVG, 17% Brazilic, 39% other. It's still about the same as what we just had in the last chat poll. Not a lot of difference. Even taking Cindric out of there and seeing how the race transpired. I will say Zilic losing some positions on the late stage 2 restart probably took away some votes from him. People were starting to turn the corner. He's got a couple spots back. He restarted 8th. He is now in 6th. But if he can get the second by the end of the run and get another caution, he's right there again. One car going wide, I believe Joey Logano, turn 1. Whether that was a spin or just going wide to miss those tire packs, he has lost a ton of track position. And now sits 36th in the running order, and he doesn't really look like he's at full pace. That's why. He's got some smoke coming out of the back of the race car. I can't tell if that's coming from the exhaust or the left front. Oh, no, it's a tire. Tire just came off. And this is going to cause a caution. The tire itself still intact, but the rubber is not. Flat tire for Joey Logano. Left front is down. That is why it's starting to smoke as he works his way back to the pit area. 40 laps to go. Our second yellow for incident today.
Actually against the guardrail, but that rocker panel, Mike, was coming apart so bad, I don't think they had any choice but to throw the caution. See that left front tire right here? I don't know if it was down before he got onto the brakes, but
It looked like it was.
Larry, this warms things up in the old pit box, doesn't it?
Well, we got.
This is just like yesterday.
We're probably about a lap or 2 from opening pit road. Gonna go back racing probably with about 36 to go. I think you got to come here and try to save a little bit. A lot of cars still on the lead lap.
So officially, the caution is for debris. Logano makes it to pit road to make repairs. Everybody's still on the lead lap except William Byron, who will get the free pass. Regan.
Yeah, Mike, just to add on the 22 of Joey Logano, about 2 laps ago, he came on the radio and said he felt like something was breaking in the front end of that car, and then it was shortly thereafter we saw that flat left front tire. I'm looking at the wheels. It comes off the car right now. The wheel looks fine, so maybe something else more wrong going with that 22.
Joey is on a stretch the worst of his career since his rookie season. He's finished 30th or worse the last 3 races.
Wow.
Now, that little windstorm, that little mini tornado that picked up that tent, put it on the racetrack, well, the wind has caught the attention of the drivers today. Here's a radio remix.
Like a mini tornado going on here, and he'll pick up everything in its sight. If there's a chance to one on the track. Hey, I'm thinking no, it's not. Here it is. Huge. What do you think? Yeah, a lot of the spotters over there having some chatter back and forth. We actually bring multiple spotters to the racetrack right here. So as much as the crew chief and spotter typically talk on the radio, now you have to listen to 3 or 4 spotters. A lot of airtime, Clay.
I'll tell you,
Keep an eye on this pit road. SVG's crew has been good. They haven't been great.
and it is open this time, guys.
Yes, sir. 54 has been great. 45, 5 races won. Puts the pressure on SVG's pit crew. Yeah, and I think you're right. The best pit crew is that 54, as we've seen most of the day right now.
Wow.
The first 2 faint, and the others inside the commit box and headed for pit road. Regan?
Connor Zillich continues to try to battle his way back after losing a little track position early on. Right now, he is as tight as he's been all day through the right-handers. He needs some help with the rights. Had been a little loose early in the lefts. That's not a problem.
Harry, do you like it?
They're going to be way back. They got to pit. They've got to pit, and it looks like to me it's not going to be long after we go back racing. But we had so many that came to pit road there that I think that actually can make it from here if you save enough under this caution. All right, the cars that came to pit road fill up with Sunoco race fuel with Howitt zero carbon bioethanol. And we have 39 laps to go in Watkins Glen. It's been an eventful day so far.
Yeah, this is exactly how the O'Reilly Auto Parts race lined up yesterday, and it came down to an epic last-lap battle between Jesse Love and Connor Zillich. Shane Van Gisbergen and Tyler Reddick, who were running first and second, staying out of the pits. That was the strategy that actually won Connor Zillich the race, trying to charge back on fresh tires after pitting middle of that final green flag run. Now, the best thing that's going to happen here for SVG and Tyler Reddick is this thing staying green to the end, because if we get another caution, that's going to allow for drivers who are trying to save fuel to be able to save a little bit more fuel, and they're going to have to still come in no matter what. They're not going to be able to push it 50 laps on this final run, even with a couple cautions. So, if there's anybody that can do it in the field today, it's definitely Shane Van Gisbergen, and we saw that yesterday from Connor Zillich in that race. Now, everybody that was on the strategy of trying to save fuel, there was very few drivers that did that yesterday by pitting and trying to make it to the end. There were some that ran out the final lap or two. So I'm not going to guarantee that everybody's going to make it on fuel here. It's 33 to 36 green flag laps is the window. And we're probably going to restart with about 37 to go if I had to guess. I don't think they're restarting this time. So yeah, probably looking at 37 laps to go. All right. Shane Van Gisbergen, Ty Gibbs is not going to be the top 2 like it shows on our screen. You're going to have to wait for the leaders to get all the way back around. Got a car alarm going off out there. It shut off now. I don't know how well I picked up on the mic. I was about to get up and I was like, there's no way it's mine. I don't even have my keys on me.
Takes away from the greatest spectacle in racing.
Top dozen on the next restart. We got Shane Van Gisbergen in the lead, Tyler Reddick in second, AJ Allmendinger third, Bubba Wallace fourth, Michael McDowell fifth, then John Hunter Nemechek sixth, Cole Custer seventh, Josh Berry eighth, Daniel Suarez ninth, Ty Gibbs in 10th. And I believe Gibbs is the first in the running order of those that pitted. Austin Dillon, Connor Zilic, 11th and 12th.
Lap is William Byron, 3 laps down. And Kyle Busch has been suffering from a sinus cold all week. Lost 5 spots on that pit stop. He has asked to have medical attention available after the race. This is radio. Race, it can't be any fun when your head is completely stuffed up like that. It's the worst. Had a good day coming into this pit stop with both RCR cars up in the top 5.
Well, this race has been flipped upside down a couple times, and you don't know if that's going to be the end of it too. You just don't know how these cautions are going to fall, when they're going to fall, and we've seen them fall in unique spots.
Well, there's one thing that we do know. Larry just told us that those first 2 cars must pit. They haven't pitted yet, Allmendinger, obviously, but the cars that just pitted, they can maybe make it to the end. Without a caution, these guys at the front are in trouble.
Van Gisbergen, the 97, he can probably go to about lap 75. Try to lay down about 12 to 13 qualifying laps. I feel as much clean as I can.
They might. Just that. Here's SVG's comments from earlier this weekend.
Not with the tires like they are. I think there's going to be a lot of strategy tomorrow, and a lot of execution. Like we saw, Connor made a mistake and just got half a car wide in the marbles, and then he lost 3 seconds for the next 2 laps. So it's all going to be about executing, and I think there's going to be a lot of variables tomorrow. So yeah, I don't think it's an easy race for sure. Like we've had in the past, well, never easy, but straightforward. I don't think it's going to be like that tomorrow.
SVG's comments after winning the pole yesterday. Van Gisbergen Chevy and Reddick's Toyota share his role for the restart. Allmendinger up there in 3rd, along with Wallace, McDowell, Nemechek, on a little slightly different pit strategy. And here we go. It'll be 37 laps to go at the line. Dinger's going to get a spot here, and they're side by side for the lead entering the corner.
Always amazes me that on these road courses, AJ Allmendinger just finds a way to get himself towards the front at the end of these races.
Zilic up the outside, side by side. Here's the dive into the bus stop. A lot of brake lock up there. On the outside, assume that's Christopher Bell fighting hard. Bell restarted 14th, was 25th, and pitted for fuel only.
And that tells you how tight this fuel window is. Clint and I were just trying to figure this out, and we're not very smart, but it looks like that, they're going to be right on the edge. And with those guys that pitted to get that extra fuel, it's going to make it close.
Yeah, you're talking, Larry told us pit window at 34 to, 36, somewhere right in there. They only got to go 37. That's their play. They're going for it.
Oh, you have to.
Absolutely. Keep an eye on Gibbs. Gibbs, your first car on tires. We'll have to watch that progression. Here he is right here. He's going to try to, that's a long ways to go on these tires, though. Manage your tires. Try to pounce on them quick, early when the goodie's still in these tires, but mind your P's and Q's. Do not slide a tire.
Yeah, and I think you want to get all you can get right here to try to get yourself in a position to get around as many as these cars as possible, because You've got Connor Zillage right behind you, 2 cars behind you, and that's really who Ty Gibbs is racing right now for that lead once all these guys pit. Hear that rev limiter right there, headed into turn 6.
Coming up back.
Great.
Connor Zillage, the 88, just had a right front lockup.
That's a long ways.
Pretty good one. Right into the bus stop. That's exactly what you try not to do early in these runs.
Every time I did that, I just wound up going slower. These kids and these guys that are on the edge like that all the time. Yesterday we saw him rip half the splitter off the car and still came back and won the race in the O'Reilly's race yesterday. So always on the edge.
We're all over SVG's playbook. He's trying to qualifying laps, getting out there as fast as I could possibly go. And he's doing everything he can do. And Allmendinger, that green car, getting closer and closer to Tyler Reddick. Clint, you may have said it. That was the fastest lap he's run in the race right there. There you go.
And that just tells you how much he's been just pacing himself throughout the day. Shane Van Gisbergen is one of the best at underplaying how good he is in the car that he has and ever showing his hand. He has to be a great poker player because when it's time to go, that guy can put laps down on the board that nobody saw coming.
Austin Hill in 10th place. He is the third of the cars that just took tires. And here's what they're telling him. Save fuel. Look at this.
And those
now you're seeing what that guy's really made out of.
And those are on tires that had 17, 18 laps on them, right, Larry?
Yeah.
I mean, those are lap times that I would have never thought that he could run at this point on that set of tires.
Yeah, Randall Burnett just told Connor Zillage, don't worry about him. He's trying to bait us into run hard. Yeah, I mean, obviously they're pitting. If a caution comes out, they'll help that scenario. But if you're Gibbs, Connor Zillage, and those other guys, you heard 3-car, save fuel.
I mean, if you're Connor Zillage and Gibbs, right? If you're Connor Zillage, the only car you're racing right now is Ty Gibbs. The rest of these guys are pitting.
Now he's in your windshield. Next car. Those are the 2 cars that stopped at lap 61. Or the first of the 2 cars. That stopped then. Briscoe having a look inside too. May also stop at the same time. And here comes Allmendinger on Tyler Reddick. Down to turn 2, and it makes the pass. Now, Allmendinger is kind of on a middle strategy. Van Gisbergen stopped at lap 41. Allmendinger 11 laps later. Ty Gibbs 9 laps after that. Reddick's in trouble. McDowell goes by for 3rd. Heard that car bottom out on the curb, Kevin. It's hard to explain to people at home how hard and how bad that feels. It does that.
Yeah, I mean, those rub blocks on the bottom of the car, and that's why they cut that curb down at the inside into the bus stop, was because the cars were having 15 to 20 G impacts every time they would hit the ground. As you see, Zillage by Bubba Wallace.
That's the 3rd or 4th time I've seen him lock that right front up. Well, he's got trouble coming with that right front tire.
You know how that goes, when you lock that tire up bad the first time, then it continuously finds that flat spot on the tire every time that you get in there and overbrake the car, and it finds that flat spot again and slides in the same spot.
And another position gained by Gibbs getting away from him. Yeah, and that's exactly right. It never gets better once you slide that tire.
Yeah, and if Gibbs can get himself into a spot where he can find a gap to run 2 or 3 laps at kind of a reduced rate, but right now right now he's having a hard time because Connor Zilic is right there behind him, kind of tick for tat, following him through traffic. So keeps a lot of pressure on him to not give up that track position. You want to maintain that track position to keep control of the race. But really, this is the race within the race between the 54 and 88.
I agree. This is not ideal for SVG. How can they beat him? Been dominant all day long. This is exactly how. Take advantage of opportunities. So Larry, when SVG does pit, if he has to pit under green, it's how far from the start of pit road until you exit and get back to speed.
Yellow line to yellow line. That doesn't include slowing down to get to the yellow line or getting up to speed, but yellow line to yellow line, including the stop, is somewhere around 40 seconds. We're hearing right now, they just told him about 3 or 4 laps ago, about 10 more laps. So we expect to see him in the next 6 to 7 laps.
So we're up a lead on the field. 1 to go.
30 laps to go this time by at Watkins Glen. Shane Van Gisbergen with the lead. A 3.6 second advantage over A.J. Allmendinger in second. Michael McDowell third. Tyler Reddick fourth. Ty Gibbs in fifth. Make that now Connor Zilic up to fifth. The Ty Gibbs sixth. Bubba Wallace seventh. John Hunter Nemechek eighth. Austin Dillon ninth. And Chase Briscoe in 10th. 11th is Josh Berry. Austin Cindric is 12th. Cole Custer 13th. Kyle Busch 14th. Daniel Suarez 15th. 16th is Ross Chastain. Chris Buescher 17th. Ryan Preece 18th. Carson Hocevar 19th. And Eric Jones at 20th. 21st is Ryan Blaney. Denny Hamlin 22nd. Chase Elliott 23rd. Christopher Bell 24th. 25th is Zane Smith. Kyle Larson at 26th. Todd Gilliland 27th. Ty Dillon 28th. Alex Bowman 29th. And Riley Herbst 30th. 31st is Ricky Stenhouse Jr. with Noah Gragson 32nd, Cody Ware 33rd, Catherine Legg 34th, and Josh Malicki 35th. Brad Keselowski 36th, and the last car in the lead lap is Brad. 37th, William Byron 3 laps down with the toe length break he had earlier, and Joey Logano 8 laps down after having a flat left front tire, which brought out the last caution. That is your full field running order. 30 laps to go at Watkins Glen. 4 lead changes, 4 cautions, 2 for incident, 1 in stage 2 and stage 3. 12 laps under yellow so far out of the 70 complete. And Shane Van Gisbergen has led 61 of the 70 completed laps. Michael McDowell led for 5. And Ross Chastain, who won stage 1, led for 4. SVG also won stage 2. And he hasn't pitted since he pitted with a couple laps to go back in that first stage, if I'm not mistaken. No, it was the caution for the 10th line on the racetrack at stage 2. Yes, you heard that right. Caution for the 10th line on the racetrack at stage 2. Bringing out a yellow. Catherine Legg, very slow in the carousel. She is out of the traditional racing line, and we'll see if she gets back to pit road. But right now, that 78 is struggling to fire more power, and Tyler Reddick is using this opportunity to come to pit road just in case a yellow comes out. Good call for the 45 team as he pits from about 6th place. Great job done. 4.5 second lead now for SVG. Tyler Reddick just firing off the pit road with the new 4 fresh tires. That fuel window easily going to make it to the end for these final 29 laps for him. So he's not going to have to worry there. We'll take another break while we await the end of the commercial right now on Fox Sports 1. You're listening live on KRC, full flag-to-flag coverage of the Go Bowling at the Glen. .8 second lead. It's like 2 to 3 tenths a lap, if not more than that, different. Every time I look at that interval between first and second, it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. Catherine Legg's car is back under power, by the way, so she didn't even pull it back to pit road. She was able to get it refired, so not sure exactly what was going on there. No caution. We stay green. Tyler Reddick took the risk of coming to pit road a little bit early. We'll see how that works out for him. It could work also with those fresher tires that maybe there's a chance he could actually run down SVG enough to cycle back in front of him for whenever Van Gisbergen does pit. Got Bubba Wallace on pit road as well.
Wallace off of pit road.
Van Gisbergen working his way up out of turn 5 in the carousel right now. We got 28 going on 27 to go this time by at the line. Pretty tightly compacted are the second, third, and fourth place cars of Allmendinger, McDowell, and Gibbs. Of those that hit pit road during the last caution, Ty Gibbs and Connor Zilich are the first in the running order of those cars. Then Briscoe, Austin Dillon, and Austin Cindric would be the next 3. They're all running 4th through 8th place at the moment. All right. Taking a look back at the fantasy team. We got SVG. McDowell's back up in the top 5 for right now, but I think he's going to have to pit before the end of the race. Easily, because he had stayed out of the pits during that last caution. AJ Allmendinger just got passed for not only second place by McDowell, but Gibbs also got by him. And Connor Zilich is about a second to a second and a half behind Ty Gibbs in the battle for what would be the lead when SVG finally comes to pit road. Of all the drivers up in the front of the field, Van Gisbergen has less fuel than everybody else because he stayed out during the last 2 yellows, the stage end and the only caution we've seen for incident in stage 3 also. Lead up over 5 seconds, even with McDowell up to second place at the moment. 5.2 second lead to second place McDowell. Race leader still SVG. Ty Gibbs 5.9 seconds back in third. Connor Zilich just made a pass for fourth. He is now 7.2 back. And Allmendinger falls to fifth at 7.3 seconds out of the lead. So that is the top 5, the intervals between those top 5 positions. 25 laps to go at the line this time by, and how quickly Zilich was able to not only pass Allmendinger, but pull him as he tries to run down Gibbs. That lap time, the last time by for Zilich, was about 0.3 of a second faster than Gibbs. But then it took him a little extra time to get by the 16 car, so Gibbs pulled back away a bit. Now, those two are the next 2 cars nose to tail with one another for position. Estimated about 17% of the fuel load left for Van Gisbergen. He is not going to pit this time by. He will stay out another lap. He does have a lap car right in front of him for the moment. And I believe that would be the 78. Who was down under power moments ago, Catherine Legg. And we've got Michael McDowell on the pit road.
How will we save fuel on this racetrack?
Well, we heard Larry talk about the short shifting of the shifts that you can do. I always like to try to get the thing off the corner, and then you'll actually do your shifts and then back the car off to 3/4, 5/8 throttle down the straightaway, because you'll lose less time that way by making the car go through the corners at the correct speed. So that and lift early.
Lift early and let that.
All right, gap between Gibbs and Zilich, 1.4 seconds. And they now run second and third with Michael McDowell heading pit road. So an easy pass for both of them. They did not have to get by the 71 car on track like they did with the 16. It's interesting to see McDowell pit a couple laps before Van Gisbergen. I think they're just trying to take advantage of fresh tires for that extra lap. And here comes SVG down onto pit road. Van Gisbergen pits
5 laps. Long way to the end of pit road, where he has pit stall number 1 down at the bottom of the hill, making what he hopes will be his final stop and handing the lead to Ty Gibbs.
Yeah, and as I look at these lap times, Jamie,
Stop. Box. Right.
To put in perspective, yesterday in the O'Reilly race, Connor Zilisch had fresher tires trying to run down Jesse Love. He had over 20 laps to try to catch him. Kind of similar to what SVG's got now, about 24 laps to go. He was 18 seconds off a lead. It took him till the final lap to get there. We're going to have to wait for our leaderboard to update next time by at the start-finish line for Ty Gibbs, who is now the new leader after SVG was just on pit road this last lap. I believe Zilisch was right around 15th place or so as well. SVG's outside the top 20. So Van Gisbergen's already gonna have to pass more cars, and he has a bigger deficit with about as many laps to go. I don't think he's gonna get there. I knew at the pace Connor Zilisch was running yesterday that he had a chance to get there in the final couple laps, which he did. I don't think Shane Van Gisbergen is going to catch up. Ryan Blaney in the 12th car just came onto pit road from just outside the top 10. Interesting strategy there. I think they're expecting if a caution comes out that the rest of the field will be coming in. Or they think they're short on fuel. All right, so Ryan Blaney coming into the pits, maybe conceding that he's not going to make it on fuel to the end of the race. And that is also a factor in this as well, that the lap times that the leaders are running may back off a bit, not only just because of tire wear, but because they are in a fuel-saving situation. Again, very similar to O'Reilly racing yesterday. So for Gibbs, Zilisch, Briscoe, Austin Dillon, Austin Cindric, they're going to have to just continue to try to save fuel up at the front five, and not only hope they can make it to the end, but also hope that there's a possibility that Shane Van Gisbergen does not run them back down before the end of the race. SVG's 29.2 seconds out of the lead in 24th place. He is quite a ways back. I mean, he is every bit of about 12 extra seconds off the lead than what Zilisch was yesterday. Now we're going to be down to just, 21 laps to go at the line this time by? Ty Gibbs is pulling away from Zilisch. Zilisch could be saving a little bit more fuel than Gibbs. And that 97 team lost control of this race. They had a great opportunity. He's getting a few more positions with other cars that have pitted, and then he gained another one on track that last lap, so now he's up to 21st. I mean, he's going to get back in the top 10 easily. I mean, he's within about 15, 16 seconds behind 10th place, but might see a couple extra cars pit on top of that just by way of not having enough fuel to make it to the end. Fuel mileage race for the second day in a row at Watkins Glen. And honestly, this is kind of taking me back to my younger years of watching NASCAR races. So Watkins Glen, this is how it used to be a lot of the time with the original 90-lap race length. But cautions coming out at weird spots in Stage 3 2 days in a row has led to this situation. To a T, 2 days in a row. Commercial break ongoing right now. We'll go through the full field running order again. 21 laps to go. Ty Gibbs leads. Connor Zilisch is second. He's 1.6 seconds out of the lead. That last lap, Zilisch was 7/10 faster than Gibbs, who backed off his pace quite a bit in fuel-saving measures. AJ Allmendinger still in third. He has to pit yet no matter what. Then Chase Briscoe is fourth. Austin Dillon fifth, and Austin Cindric in sixth. Seventh place is Kyle Busch. Cole Custer in eighth. Chris Buescher ninth. Ross Chastain 10th. 11th is now Custer. It looks like AJ's on his way to pit road. So AJ back to 10th. He's in the pits. Cole Custer 11th. Denny Hamlin 12th. Todd Gillen 13th. Ty Dillon 14th. Christopher Bell 15th. 16th is Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Noah Gregson 17th. Cody Ware 18th. Eric Jones 19th. And 20th is Shane Van Gisbergen. Zane Smith in 21st. 22nd is Michael McDowell. 23rd, Tyler Reddick. Bubba Wallace 24th. And Josh Bilicki 25th. 26 is John Nemechek. 27th, Kyle Larson. Daniel Suarez, 28th. Ryan Blaney, 29th. 30th is Josh Berry. 31st, Chase Elliott, who's just struggled today. Ryan Prieston, 32nd. Alex Bowman, 33rd. Brad Keselowski, I believe, has damage after the contact in the bus stop with Byron because he has been pretty much tail end of the lead lap ever since. He's in 34th. Herbst went for a spin earlier. He's 35th. 36th is Catherine Legg, just fell off a lead lap under power for a short bit, got fired back up again. Byron had a toe length break after a spin with Keselowski. He's 37th and currently 3 to 4 laps down. Off track, Joey Logano had that left front tire failure out of the race for him in 38th. So that is a full field running order. Again, 38 laps to go with where we're at right now. Sorry, 20. That's the 38 car field running order. We have just under 20 laps to go. 19 laps left. And Connor Zilic is really gaining a ton of time on Ty Gibbs in just the last few laps alone. May have a battle ongoing between the 54 and the 88 before long. The door has opened for these two young guns to try to go for another win. Gibbs finally getting his first career win in what is now his 4th full-time season in Cup Series competition just about a month ago at Bristol. And Connor Zilic, the young 19-year-old as a rookie, trying to become one of the youngest NASCAR Cup Series drivers to win a race all time. Shane Van Gisbergen, good on fuel, fastest car in the field, was 29 seconds out of the lead. He's now up to 13th, but still 24 seconds out of the lead. So he's only gained about 5 seconds. Passing cars is not allowing him to put together the fastest lap times possible. That last lap, he ran a 73.797 to Ty Gibbs' 75.2. Connor Zilic, who was actually faster than Gibbs again that last lap, had a 75.0. SVG's running out of laps fast. I think the pace that Van Gisbergen has, if we were to catch a caution right now, that would probably mean he'd stay out. The rest of the field would pit. And I think he can manage well enough and win the race. But if it stays green to the end, I think it's going to be between these two, Ty Gibbs and Connor Zilic, assuming both of these cars can make it on fuel. If they can't make it on gas to the end of the race and they run out, then it's just wide open as to who can save fuel the best. As Shane Van Gisbergen slices and dices his way through the running order, up to 12th, another spot gained. 4 seconds off the next car in front of him, Todd Gilliland. Danny Hamlin just made a pass for 9th on track, getting by Carson Hocevar. Going to close off the chat poll that I opened at the end of stage 2, the new one, as for who you think is going to win today's race. 45 votes were casted there. 44% of those votes taking SVG. Connor Zilic at 20% and 36% saying somebody other than those. So SVG's percentage went down, but he still leads the poll. You guys, all the way through this race, start to where we're at now, 17 to go, 83 out of 100 laps complete. Still taking SVG for the win. He was my pick. It's hard to go off of that, but where it stands right now, I just don't see him making up the deficit. Even if he is over a second a lap faster, he's going to have to pick up the pace even more. I don't think it's so much that he's going to have to pick up the pace. He's going to have to hope the pace drops off even more for those ahead of him by way of tires and fuel conservation. Zilic actually picked up that last lap from where he was 2 laps ago. He was the only driver to run a sub-75 second lap time in the top half dozen. And honestly, he was probably the only one to do that in the top 10. Yep, that's exactly the case. Got to go back to SVG, of course, on those fresher tires. And the fastest car back at 12th, who ran a faster time than Zilic that last lap. Connor Zilic is within a half a second of Ty Gibbs now. SVG in traffic a bit as he tries to get by Carson Hocevar for 11th. This is not going to be easy. Carson just lost a spot to Hamlin. Also lost another spot to Todd Gillen, who's having a solid day in 10th thus far. SVG taking a little extra time. Had to sit behind Hocevar in the carousel. Attacks into turn 6 to the inside and Van Gisbergen to 11th. Hocevar sliding those rear tires as he picks up the throttle up out of turn 6. Todd Gillen coming into the pits. That's an easy pass for Van Gisbergen, and SVG is back in the top 10. Denny Hamlin making another pass for position. This one on Ross Chastain in turn 1 for 8th place. Solid day for Chastain, winning a stage earlier. Battle for the lead. On screen, the full screen now into the bus stop. It is Connor Zilisch and Ty Gibbs. Gibbs with great acceleration coming out of the bus stop. Has not had anywhere near the pace of Zilisch over the last 3 to 4 laps. Where Zilisch has gone from just over 2 seconds out of the lead, maybe trying to save fuel on the short side of the run and then push hard later. Gibbs extended that lead, and now I don't know if Gibbs has anything left to try to hold off Zilisch, because 15 laps to hold off this kid on a road course is going to be maybe the toughest drive Ty Gibbs has ever had to do if he is to hold him off. And Gisbergen got by Chastain and Hamlin that last lap and is now in 8th place at 18 seconds out of the lead. 3 wide back there around McDowell, who is also trying to keep pace with the 97. He gets by Chastain and Hamlin as well for 9th. So still a chance Michael McDowell can get a good finish out of this race today also. Through the S's, Connor Zilisch building a little bit of ground on Ty Gibbs. He beat him in the braking zone of the bus stop the last time, but Gibbs was able to win the race back to the gas and upwards through the shifts through the carousel. That last lap, SVG was 2 seconds faster than Ty Gibbs. 2 seconds faster, 1 lap. We've got a spinner on the track. Bubba Wallace is around, and that is in turn 1. And he is going to lose a ton of spots as he has to wait for cars to get out of the way so he can get his car back on track, and that's going to drop Bubba all the way back to at least 29th, it appears, on the leaderboard by the time he is back going in the correct direction. Zilisch hounds Gibbs some more. 14 laps to go at the line.
Him to get a lap back, it really hindered Gibbs' speed. He got away from him at a 2-second lead, and it got swallowed up as soon as he got to race in. That right front tire keeps sliding on Zilisch about every lap in turn 1 that I've seen. He's caught at the bus stop and everywhere else.
And where that'll really show up, Clint, is when if they both start to race hard and you have to try to drive that thing into the corner super hard, it'll find that flat spot, because right now they're not even running hard. You can hear how early they're lifted into 1 right there.
Now you saw Van Gisbergen pass Chris Buescher for 7th place, and he's now 14.5 seconds back with 15 laps to go. He is coming.
Right now, the projection is he'll catch him 3 to 4 laps to go.
Wow.
There you have it. That's fine. You can say it, Clint.
Go ahead. It's fun. It's fun to watch. Yeah. You want to talk about the rabbit to run down and chase. If anybody can do it, it's that guy.
And you see just how much he had left in his car. That's the amazing part. Like on those old tires before, he ran that 13.0, he ran a 12.99 actually, which was his quick lap. And now the thing that makes him great is the fact that he can make those passes so easy under braking and lose so little time.
And I think this time is only going to get easier as it goes. Their tires are wearing out, they're saving fuel, and his tires are fresh, and he's going to roll. And these spots aren't so tight together. He can onesie-twosie him as he goes instead of having to pass 3 or 4 of them to get mired back. 13 laps to go. He's now just 12.5 seconds back. That's exactly what I was. It's within range.
Oh, it was 2.3 seconds better that lap than our leaders.
He just told his crew, this is badass. This is fun.
And look, it's not that far. Just saw them exit the bus stop, and here he comes in the end. And like I said, the cars that he's going to pass now,
Gonna be easy.
easy. They're running by themselves, and those passes, you'll be able to time them, catch them in the right area, and be able to pass them, get into a passing zone. And everybody ahead of Van Gisbergen stopped at lap 61 and has to be at least concerned about fuel.
Yeah, so they're all in fuel saving mode, and they're all on old tires. He's not in fuel saving mode, and he's on newer tires, so he's got twice the things going for him.
It just shows you how much he had in reserve, how much they were pulling the reins back on that thoroughbred.
And he does that a lot on his own. I don't even know that he tells his team how much he's holding back or what he's doing, because he's so savvy in the things that he does during practice, what he says in the media. So it's pretty impressive to see.
Or they're still asking Connor Zilich to save.
I mean, that might be the saving grace. You know, they are pulling the reins back on these cars, so maybe they can run. You're going to have to see what they're made out of too when they can make it into their fuel window.
I mean, at the rate that they're going right now, it's not going to matter, because he's going to drive right by him even when they're going.
Maybe. See how much they're pulled back. But he's catching them fast.
11 laps to go, this time by at the start finish. And the top five still Ty Gibbs in the lead, Connor Zilich second, Chase Briscoe third, Austin Dillon fourth, and Kyle Busch fifth. Shane Van Gisbergen has worked his way up to sixth place, but he's only 8 seconds out of the race lead with 11 laps to go. And he was 29 seconds back behind Gibbs when Gibbs led after SVG first left pit road. It's just amazing how quickly he was able to gain that time. I just didn't think he was going to get there because it was such a big deficit. We got a spinner on the racetrack, but we do stay green still. Josh Berry, the 21, has gone around, and there's another car around as well in between turns 6 and 7, and we got a battle for the lead now into the bus stop. Connor Zilich doesn't want to hold the reins back anymore. He was going for it on Ty Gibbs. He knows SVG is on the run, and if he's going to want a shot to get his first career win, he's got to go now. Might have caught Gibbs napping just a bit, trying to go for it in the bus stop. Huge lockup of the brakes by Connor Zilich, but Ty Gibbs holds on. I don't know how they didn't make contact going through that tight set of corners. I think SVG is close enough. They could kind of faintly see him out of the rearview mirror back in 5th place. Zilich has been smoking his tires so much in this final run. You wonder if they're going to even hold on. Good news is he's smoking the fronts and he's not sliding the rears, so he can still keep decent stability most of the way around. The trends of Larry McReynolds a couple laps ago said that he would get there about 3 to 4 laps ago, the pace he's running right now, and I think he's going to get there a little sooner than that. Unless the 88 and the 54 were holding back the reins that much, which I don't think they were. That last lap was almost 3 seconds faster for Shane Van Gisbergen than these two cars leading the way. Fun battle to watch for the moment, though, with 10 laps to go between Gibbs and Zilich. Best opportunity Connor Zilich is going to have to maybe pounce on the 54s getting into the bus stop. His bus stop time second to that of only Shane Van Gisbergen. Ty Gibbs has had a good bus stop time when they showed that average across the field as well. He was in the top 4 earlier, just not quite as good as the 88 or the 97. Van Gisbergen into 4th, and now working on 3rd place. Chase Briscoe into turn 6. Makes quick work of that. Van Gisbergen is into 3rd again. Of the last caution is with 10 laps to go. And the last, that's on the season, sorry. Average of the last yellows with 10 laps to go on the season so far. 3 overtime finishes, 2 of which coming in the last month. Another lockup of the tires for Connor Zilich. SVG is only 3 seconds out of the race lead. Last lap he put down a 74.724, but he also had to pass both the 19 and the 3 for position, so that could have hindered his lap time just a bit. As he's getting that ground and then some back quickly. Zilich lost a little bit of ground to Ty Gibbs over the last lap or so, and Zilich is in danger of losing second to Van Gisbergen. And it's probably going to happen right now as Connor Zilich has a problem, I believe. Something is wrong with Connor Zilich. He got very loose getting into the carousel. He loses second place, and he's lost a lot more time than just that. Oh, what a heartbreak for the rookie if he can't get back going in the right direction again here. And I almost wonder if smoking those front tires too many times could be part of the problem. Does he have a tire going down? Does Zilich come to pit road this time? Yes, he does. Connor Zilich onto pit road. Unfortunate after running second for a majority of this race. The rookie surrendering a solid day, 4 fresh tires, and fuel on the way.
Somewhere around in there.
That's yeah.
Janet. Yeah. They went to pit road and took tires.
Yeah, well, he's going to be the leader here in a couple seconds.
Ty Gibbs slides his rear tires up out of the S's. Shane Van Gisbergen to the inside. 8 laps to go into the bus stop. And that's all she wrote, I think, ladies and gentlemen. As long as there's no caution, Shane Van Gisbergen back to the lead where he's been pretty much all day. Kicking everybody's tail on a road course again. Shades of 2025 and the 2026 Go Bowling at the Glen. Now the question is, does Ty Gibbs make it on fuel? And Michael McDowell, who's on the same strategy as Shane Van Gisbergen, we're in awe of SVG, but McDowell, by the way, is up to 3rd place now. And only 3 seconds behind Ty Gibbs for 2nd. He's about 4.5 to 5 seconds behind Van Gisbergen. SVG is clearly still the fastest car, but the strategy might work out for McDowell, which really laid into his hands after it looked like that team was on the wrong side of strategy at the end of stage 2. Might still get bailed out with a good finish after all. And the 2 cars that started on the front row may be running 1st and 2nd after all. Oh, 7 laps left. The only thing separating Shane Van Gisbergen from a win might be another tent blowing onto the racetrack. It's the way that things are going right now. He's still pushing as hard as ever right now, which is insane. Which I don't blame him, because I'd want to see that white flag as quick as possible. That'd be my thought process. I'm like, well, listen, I just want to see that white flag quickly. Another car with damage. Cody Ware, the 51, has backed it into the outside wall somewhere around the racetrack. He's trying to limp it back around. No yellow yet. He is rolling, but he is slow. Waiting to see a replay of exactly what happened to Cody Ware. Not sure if we're going to get one. Carson Hocevar's been bleeding positions as he's burnt the rear tires off of it. We saw him get passed by Chastain and Hamlin pretty quickly, and he's still struggling. He has gone from about 9th place back to 20th. Kyle Larson, who had that bad last restart, fell back from 17th to 28th, is now back inside the top 20 and 18th again, close to where he restarted. Had he not have to make up the ground that he had lost, you wonder if he could have gotten back in the top 10. Zane Smith with a good run up out of the exit of turn 7, looking to get back by Larson. Michael McDowell challenging for 2nd on Ty Gibbs. Fresher tires, he should get by him pretty quickly. Just where out on the track will it take place? McDowell just over 5 seconds out of the lead. Oh, big slide by Gibbs right in front of McDowell, who has to evade to the outside, and Michael McDowell gets by. Up to 2nd. We'll go through the full field running order one more time as we're down under 5 laps to go. Shane Van Gisbergen with a 5.8 second lead. Michael McDowell 2nd. Ty Gibbs 3rd. Chase Briscoe 4th. Austin Dillon 5th. 6th for Kyle Busch. Austin Cindric 7th. Tyler Reddick 8th. AJ Allmendinger 9th. And Chris Buescher rounds out the top 10. John Hunter Nemechek 11th. Ryan Blaney, who pitted for tires, remember, from about 13th or 14th. He's up to 12th. He might get a top 10 out of this. A great call by that 12 team. Denny Hamlin in 13th, Daniel Suarez 14th, Ryan Preece 15th, Eric Jones in 16th, Cole Custer 17th, Zane Smith 18th, Kyle Larson 19th, and 20th is Carson Hocevar, with Chase Elliott 21st, Alex Bowman 22nd, Todd Gillen 23rd, Christopher Bell 24th, Riley Herbst 25th, Josh Berry 26th, 27th is Noah Gragson, Connor Zilic 28th after just pitting moments ago. Tough break for Connor. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 29th, Brad Keselowski 30th, Ty Dillon 31st. Now Chastain 31st, Ty Dillon 32nd. Bubba Wallace last car in the lead lap 33rd. He spun earlier in the run. Josh Bilicki 34th, Captain Legg 35th, William Byron 36th, Cody Ware 37th, and Joey Logano 38th. Only 33 of the 38 cars on the lead lap. AJ Allmendinger also on fresher tires, looking to get by Tyler Reddick right now for 8th. And he's within a couple seconds of the 7th place car of Cindric as well. About 4 to go. Ryan Blaney made a pass like Chris Buescher last time by for 11th, and Nemechek a couple tenths ahead of him in 10th. Blaney's got about 5 seconds to Allmendinger and Reddick. Well, maybe it was still good to keep Blaney in the fantasy team. I think Connor Zilic, with not getting a lot of stage points, and now he's going to have the poor finish. He's actually going to be the weak link on my team, which I would not have expected. The way things were going for a while. And the only bonus point I'm looking at missing right now is Elliott versus Larson. Elliott's 2 spots behind Kyle. Elliott spent most of this race today around 30th or worse. Very, very poor day for the 9 team, which is crazy because they had the best car and was able to capitalize on that with a win last week at Texas. I know Chase hasn't won in the next-gen era on a road course, but he is still a 2-time Watkins Glen winner. And he still gets good, consistent finishes on the road course races, but that 9 team missed it on strategy this week. Really, Hendrick Motorsports as a whole struggled. I mean, they don't have a single car in the top 15. Bowman's 23rd, Elliott's 21st. Byron had the toe link break. He was around 10th. And Larson is 18th, 19th. So, yeah, terrible day for Hendrick Motorsports. All 4 cars buried in the running order. And all 4 still on track. That's the sad part. Michael McDowell already 6 seconds ahead of Ty Gibbs. Gibbs still trying to nurse it to the end and make it on fuel in that 3rd place position. If you run out of fuel, you're going to lose a lot of points if you're in any kind of a points battle to get into the chase or fighting for the regular season championship. And a lot of drivers outside of that chase cut line having great days today. Drivers who came in outside the top 16 in points that are in the top 10 would include Shane Van Gisbergen, Michael McDowell, Austin Dillon, Kyle Busch, AJ Allmendinger, and John Hunter Nemechek. And that's not even counting Chase Briscoe, who came into the day 16th right on the cut line. And it's also not counting Ross Chastain, who won stage 1, who came in 18th in points. A couple more corners away from the white flag for SVG, where if a caution comes out on the final lap, the race will be over. Surprised Blaney has not caught Nemechek yet. And I wonder if John Hunter's been just holding him up because Blaney's been within a second of him for a while. Larson lost a couple more spots, now back to 21st. Elliott 23rd, losing a few more himself. Connor Zilic on fresh tires, getting by some of those Hendrick cars back there right now. Just pitted not that long ago. White flag in the air, 1 lap to go for Shane Van Gisbergen. A little bit of a contest with Connor Zilic back at stage 2, and what ended up not being a contest with the pit strategy late, but thought there could have been a chance somebody could have beaten him. I can't believe I even doubted his ability to come back, but I did. Shane Van Gisbergen leading as he works his way through the bus stop one final time. Two quarters away now from the checkered flag. Quick race here this afternoon, just under 2.5 hours as projected, even with the 10 extra laps, and dominated by the quick pace of Shane Van Gisbergen along the way. Checkered flag in the air, first win of 2026 for Van Gisbergen in his 7th career NASCAR Cup Series win, first of which at back-to-back, at Watkins Glen. SVG is a winner again. 7.2 second margin of victory over Michael McDowell. Both front row starters finished first and second today. Shane Van Gisbergen with a win. Michael McDowell in second. Ty Gibbs third. Chase Briscoe in fourth. Fifth is Kyle Busch with Austin Dillon sixth. Tyler Reddick seventh. AJ Allmendinger eighth. Austin Cindric ninth. And John Hunter Nemechek rounding out the top 10. Ryan Blaney in 11th. Chris Buescher 12th. Daniel Suarez 13th. 14th. Ryan Preece and Denny Hamlin 15th. Cole Custer 16th. Solid run for that team. Eric Jones 17th, Zane Smith 18th, 19th for Todd Gillen and Christopher Bell 20th. Another struggle for the 20 team today. After Zilich in 20th, 21st, so 20th was Connor Zilich, then 21st was Christopher Bell unofficially. Noah Gregson 22nd, Kyle Larson 23rd, Chase Elliott 24th, and Alex Bowman 25th. 26th, Riley Herbst. 27th, Ross Chastain. 28th for Carson Hocevar. Josh Berry 29th, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 30th, with Brad Keselowski 31st, Bubba Wallace 32nd, Ty Dillon 33rd, first car lap down. Josh Bilicki 34th, Catherine Lake 35th, 36th for William Byron, Cody Ware 37th, and Joey Logano 38th, the only two cars at DNF. So 32 cars finished on the lead lap. 2 cars DNF. We did finish under the regulation length of 100 laps here today at Watkins Glen. 2 hours, 29 minutes, and 8 seconds total time on today's race. 4 cautions, 2 for incident, 1 in stage 2, 1 in stage 3, 6 lead changes, 12 caution laps spent out of the 100. Fastest race of the year so far. 74 laps led out of 100 for Shane Van Gisbergen. He also had a stage win today and finished 8th in stage 1, so just a solid points day and a race win all the way around. 17 laps led today for Ty Gibbs on that alternate pit strategy late. Michael McDowell led for 5 laps as well. And also Ross Chastain, who won stage 1 today, as mentioned already, led for 4 laps. Those were the only 4 drivers to lead at least 1 lap in this race. A race dominated by Shane Van Gisbergen. We'll hear from him shortly, and then we'll go over the start times for next weekend and live commentary coverage from Dover All-Star Race weekend next week.
Kyle Buescher gets.
Oh, no. Okay, Busch ran out of gas, but he still ended up 8th. When I heard Busch out of gas on the cool-down lap, I was thinking, oh, no, he lost another top 10, didn't he?
Gonna need some tires, boys.
What a clinic. Folks, you've just seen one of the greatest performances in the history of road racing in NASCAR.
Again.
Crowd loves him.
He's captured the hearts of these American fans. Day boy this weekend.
Hey, I didn't know it was his birthday this weekend, too.
Nice present this checkered flag will be for
Good present for old Shane Van Gisbergen.
See Jamie Little down in the midst of that celebration. Jamie?
He gets his helmet. Entire team versus pit crew. Talked about the job today. They execute what they need to. Shane Van Gisbergen. There's the rugby ball. Getting it ready, Shane. He's gonna sign that and kick it to the fans. Here it goes. And the kids got in the front. Shane, you had to come in and
A dog pile.
you blended in about 26th with 24 laps to go. You absolutely put on a clinic. How did you do it, especially this time in a number that means so much to you, your first time winning here in the 97?
Yeah, you're right. Unbelievable to win with 97. Yes, Chevy was great. Thank you to Trackhouse. We weren't very good in practice, and then qualifying was amazing. Good tweaks, and then today, so what a race car. And then Stephen made great calls. I wasn't sure how it's going to work, and then to run them down like that, very, very special to do 2 in a row.
There's Stephen right there as crew chief. You know, you've been working on your racecraft in NASCAR, learning these ovals. That's what we primarily do. But when you come here and you get to run on road courses, how much fun is it to show everybody here what you're capable of? This is your wheelhouse.
Oh, for sure, but it's not easy. Everyone's really good. There was a lot of pressure there, and I think McDowell was good, Connor was good, Tyler Reddick. There were some really good guys and a lot of pressure. So just stoked for these guys, you know, to execute every facet of our game, and speechless. It's so cool.
Nice birthday present. Congratulations. Shane Van Gisbergen wins at Watkins Glen.
Congratulations to Shane Van Gisbergen. On our way out here today, we'll go over the All-Star Race weekend next weekend, live commentary scheduling as follows for that. With this being an exhibition race this upcoming weekend, we're not going to be doing practice and qualifying. And because of the layout for the All-Star Race, usually we do the Open and the All-Star Race back-to-back, but there is no All-Star Open this year. Everybody starts the race, so it looks like 1 p.m. Eastern will be the afternoon All-Star Race at Dover next Sunday. Slightly shorter race than what we're usually seeing there because of it being an exhibition and not a points-paying event. So we'll start off Friday. Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern will be the next live commentary stream. That will be the Truck Series at Dover. 4 p.m. Eastern, our only live commentary stream for Saturday for the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. And the Cup Series at 1 p.m. on Sunday. So just 3 streams next week, 1 each day, Friday through Sunday. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Be sure to hit the like button if you haven't done so yet. Subscribe for more NASCAR content along the way. We're live every NASCAR race weekend for Truck, O'Reilly, Cup Series action, and much more. Have a good one. Congrats to SVG yet again. First win of 2026. And have a good rest of your Sunday. Happy Mother's Day, everybody.